described the brilliance of the short story to his supervisor. Dong Yinling listened patiently. Although she herself is not interested in science fiction, she trusts the judgment of the professionals under her. Great. Hurry up and translate this Wandering Earth into English. It will be one of the first works to push the international influence of the company onto the world stage. Lu Lang wasn't very aware of the company's next moves. He was busy thinking about how to exchange for high-tech products. After the company made a significant acquisition of Moonfall Crisis, whether it was due to the short film's outstanding performance or to win Lu Lang over, they not only paid a whopping $50 million for the acquisition, but also generously gave Lu Lang over $1 million in commercial dividends. Lu Lang's second science fiction short film brought him over $51 million in cash and points income. His points balance stood at $51.22 million, with a cash balance of $56 million. However, he found it difficult to decide on the high-tech options for exchange. Over 50 million points is neither a small nor a large amount. He certainly couldn't dare to dream of the heavy nuclear fusion planetary engines or the 550 series artificial intelligence technologies that require billions or even tens of billions of points. Lu Lang wanted to present the perfect Wandering Earth movie in his mind. In his view, while the special effects and CGI have reached an extreme level, there is still some gap compared to the real world. He is preparing to recreate the grand scenes presented in the movie as closely as possible in the real world. This inevitably relies on various movie props. Drones are already available, and a certain company has even begun mass production when the time comes. He will only need to borrow a batch of actual machines for filming. The Navigator space station can also be considered a grand scene. But without the premise of a space elevator, constructing such a large space station in outer space must rely on national power. After careful selection, Lu Lang discovered that only the technology of space elevators could meet his requirements. If he could build a space elevator, it would provide the movie with visuals that are more realistic than special effects and could be realized more easily. The biggest challenge in manufacturing a space elevator is the material issue. To extend cables from the ground to a height of at least 30,000 kilometers. Based on the materials currently discovered and invented by humanity, it seems impossible to achieve. This material must be extremely strong, yet as light as possible, and possess a certain degree of flexibility. Its ultimate tensile strength needs to reach 240 times that of steel, meaning that a cable the thickness of a hair must support the weight of a car. Currently, whether it is high-strength steel cables used in construction, aerospace-grade titanium alloys, or Kevlar composite materials used for bulletproof vests, none come close to meeting this tensile strength requirement. However, as long as this material can be found, all other technical issues related to building a space elevator can be easily resolved. After exchanging for this space elevator technology, Lu Lang decided to use the remaining credits to exchange for another piece of cutting-edge technology, exoskeleton armor. A total of 51 million credits was completely spent. The operation of acquiring knowledge about cutting-edge technology reoccurred once again. Compared to the Predator drone technology, the knowledge density of space elevators and exoskeleton armor is undoubtedly much larger. Lu Lang remained in a daze for a full 5 minutes before regaining consciousness. When he opened his eyes, there was a glint of wisdom in his gaze that was different from before. So that is how it is. This wonderful feeling of gradually understanding everything and knowing the fundamental truths of things matured his mindset from that of a recent graduate to something much more seasoned in an instant. Just as Lu Lang was still reflecting on this experience, his phone buzzed loudly. "Hey, bro, is that really you, the Lu Lang online?" A familiar voice instantly pulled Lu Lang back to reality. It was his younger sister, Lu Nian. Their parents were formal employees at a state-owned water plant in Ningxing. Although they couldn't be considered wealthy, they were well off. Lu Nian was at a critical moment in her junior year, doing her internship before graduation. Lu Lang didn't want to disrupt the tranquility of his family's life because of his own reasons. Therefore, after he became famous, he had not informed his family. But unexpectedly, this time, with the strong promotion from a certain entertainment company, Lu Lang became phenomenally popular and turned into a sensational internet celebrity. Even Lu Nian, who was extremely busy right before graduation, learned through the overwhelming publicity that the internet sensation Lu Lang was actually her older brother. After finding out that her sister was conducting graduation research at a rehabilitation center in the capital, Lu Lang quickly made his way there after confirming the location. Chapter 31. The cosplay of the canary. He took out his phone and opened a ride-hailing app. While waiting for the taxi to arrive, Lu Lang pondered whether he should buy a car, considering that his rented place was in the outskirts of the capital, quite far from the city center, and he wasn't lacking in money. However, thinking about the hassle of lottery systems for license plates in the capital, he shook his head and dismissed the idea. Just 3 minutes later, a taxi arrived in front of Lu Lang. After getting in, he was puzzled about how he could get a ride so quickly in such a remote area. He casually noticed that the driver looked somewhat familiar. "Hey, have you delivered food recently?" Despite the driver wearing sunglasses and a mask, Lu Lang felt that the person resembled the delivery guy who had been bringing him food lately. After the driver denied it, Lu Lang brushed it off, thinking he must have mistaken him for someone else. The taxi sped along and soon arrived at the address his sister had given him, a large rehabilitation center also located in the outskirts. Brother. Just as he got out of the car, a young woman in a light blue dress greeted him excitedly. As Lu Lang's younger sister, Lu Nian was certainly not lacking in looks. With her thick, black hair and a smile that radiated warmth, her delicate features immediately drew the attention of passers-by. Lu Lang was also happy to see his sister. While chatting, he followed Lu Nian into the center's cafeteria. Brother, is it true what they say online? Have you really become a famous director in the country? Do you get to meet a lot of celebrities? Can you take me to a film set? Do you really do what they say online, like having inappropriate relations with actresses? Wow, you might actually be capable of that. As soon as they met, Lu Nian bombarded him with questions like a curious child. Lu Lang held back the urge to roll his eyes and began to explain. As they chatted, the conversation shifted from Lu Lang to Lu Nian herself. I study financial management, and I've been assigned to this rehabilitation center for my graduation research. This company used to be quite famous in the industry for providing rehabilitation services for disabled individuals, but now it's almost bankrupt. My research involves creating a detailed analysis report on this institution. Lu Lang listened quietly as his sister introduced her work. When it came to her field of study, Lu Nian's demeanor shifted from that of a curious child to someone serious, exuding the aura of an urban elite woman. The two of them were chatting by the window of the cafeteria when suddenly, a shadow fell from outside the glass curtain wall. Passers-by in the restaurant were shocked by the scene and gathered by the window to observe, only to discover that it was a patient from a rehabilitation center who had jumped to their death. This incident was also a significant reason for the company's impending collapse. They had advertised their ability to help disabled individuals regain mobility. However, 2 years had passed, and the company's treatments, both mechanical and pharmaceutical, had not yielded any successful cases. The market continued to decline. Once valued at hundreds of millions, the company was now listed for sale at 20 million. Yet no one showed interest. Through an introduction from his sister, Lu Lang gained a preliminary understanding of this rehabilitation facility. Suddenly, he recalled the exoskeleton armor, high-tech device he had just exchanged for. It could manipulate a mechanical assistive device worn on the body by connecting to neuronal signals at the back of the neck. Additionally, an electronic signal receiver embedded in the assistive device would transmit force feedback back to the wearer's neck in the form of electrical signals, allowing the host to gain full awareness of their posture. The biggest highlight of the exoskeleton armor, high-tech device was its ability to control external mechanical devices through a remarkable artificial neuron control system. As long as brain function was intact, even a person with complete paralysis could use this system to aid in regaining mobility, potentially exceeding the movement capabilities of an average person. If I had the technology to help these individuals regain mobility, Lu Lang mused. Bro, you really dare to dream. If you had that technology, you wouldn't just be a famous director. You'd be an inventor and a millionaire. There are countless people around the world with physical disabilities and limited mobility, and you can never know the immense price they are willing to pay to regain the ability to run and walk. Lu Nian took her brother's words as a joke and didn't pay much attention. After some time spent researching, Lu Nian clearly understood that helping these disabled individuals regain mobility was an almost insurmountable global challenge. Countless top research institutions around the world had invested vast sums of money into this area, yet results were minimal. Even the wealthiest tycoons on the international rich list, once afflicted with related conditions, could only spend fortunes to try to alleviate symptoms, with no hope of a cure. If they couldn't achieve it, how could a film school graduate possibly tackle such a global issue? Lu Lang merely smiled at her response, not bothering to argue. After returning to the rundown factory he rented, he immediately got to work. The challenge in creating the exoskeleton armor lay in the device that received and exchanged neuronal signals at the back of the neck, also known as a brain-machine interface. Through this interface, biological neuronal signals from the brain could be received and output as electrical signals to control external mechanical devices. Thus, this conversion device, the brain-machine interface, became the most crucial component of the exoskeleton armor. With it, the wearer could manipulate the external mechanical device as if they were controlling their own body, without any delay. Currently, global research on neuronal signal conversion was still in its early stages, far from being applicable. However, Lu Lang, who had been enlightened with advanced technology knowledge, was already well-versed in this technology, relying on the immense computing power of his rendering room. Lu Lang personally compiled an electronic device capable of processing biological neuron signal interactions from scratch. He even equipped it with a self-destruct mechanism that would activate if anyone attempted to dismantle the device for reverse engineering, causing it to overload and burn out. With the most troublesome brain-computer interface solved, everything else became manageable. Using the tools and equipment available in the workshop, Lu Lang crafted a rugged-looking steel-structured armor that resembled a model toy at first glance. Boss, there hasn't been much going on lately. Canary is a bit of a homebody, usually just staying in his place making videos. He just finished a cosplay model. What is cosplay? Ah, it's kind of like toy armor. Something kids play with, probably for video props. Don't worry, Canary is definitely safe. If he loses even a hair, I will. Whoa, boss. Canary just kicked the wall down. Chapter 32 Financing? I don't think that's necessary. Cough, cough, cough. Lu Lang waved away the dust stirred up by the collapsed brick wall. He had only intended to test the feel of the exoskeleton armor's foot, not expecting such tremendous power. Fortunately, the place he rented was quite remote. Under the control of his brain, the steel framework closely connected to his limbs moved without delay, and through the force feedback device installed on the framework, he could clearly sense the metal structure attached to his body. It felt as if the exoskeleton armor had become a part of him. This was precisely Lu Lang's intention, to allow the wearer to effortlessly control the exoskeleton prosthetic using only their mind. Theoretically, even a person with high-level paralysis could regain mobility with the help of this exoskeleton armor. After several adjustments, Lu Lang was finally satisfied and contacted his sister. When Lu Nian arrived at her brother's rented place, before she could comment on the remoteness and dilapidation of the old factory, she saw Lu Lang waving to her in a sci-fi-style armor. Bro, what are you doing? Cosplaying Iron Man? Lu Nian looked at her brother with a speechless expression. This kind of operation might be a bit advanced for kids, but for a college graduate like Lu Lang, it seemed just right. It's props, movie props. I'm a sci-fi film director, so making some sci-fi style movie props is reasonable, right? Lu Lang explained seriously that he wasn't slacking off. He then showcased the various functions of the exoskeleton armor he had created, kicking down a half-meter thick brick wall, bending heavy steel pipes like they were dough, effortlessly lifting a stone block weighing over a ton. Lu Nian watched in astonishment as her brother demonstrated in front of her. When she learned about the brain-computer interface device on the exoskeleton armor, she was even more shocked. Bro, do you know what this means? Does this mean that those individuals with damaged body organs now have a chance to regain their mobility? Bro, you're going to get rich. Lu Lang looked at his sister, whose eyes were starting to sparkle with excitement, and his expression froze. It seems he overestimated her awareness. He almost forgot that his sister was a bit of a money lover. Otherwise, she wouldn't have insisted on studying finance management. Have you applied for a patent for this technology? I haven't had the chance yet. You need to hurry up with this. Hey, I really can't deal with you. How can you not be anxious about something so important? Leave this to me. I'll help you get it sorted out today. As a graduate in a finance-related field, Lu Nian clearly understood how lucrative this technology could be. I've already thought it through. First, we need to secure the technology in the form of a patent and then take it to seek funding. We can't approach those investment capitals. They're too shrewd. We need to find those tech companies. They can be easier to persuade. Do you remember the rehabilitation institution I mentioned? It can be acquired for $20 million. They have the sales qualifications and production facilities for health equipment. As long as the paperwork is in order, mass production can start in as little as a month. We can rebrand the rehabilitation institution, create promotional videos showcasing patient outcomes, and then spend money to invite a few influencers to promote it, while contacting several mainstream distributors for help in distribution. Once the market is established, we can push them aside and open up for franchise distribution. After scaling up a bit, we can initiate a second round of financing, which could cover the national market in as little as 6 months. Once the business team is fully integrated, we could start entering overseas markets within a year. If we want to speed things up, we could also initiate public listing financing. Given the strength of the technology you've developed, it would be sufficient to support the company in a chaotic capital market. The more Lu Nian spoke, the more excited she became, her complexion growing rosy. Now it was Lu Lang's turn to be dumbfounded. He had originally been considering how to reasonably explain the source of this technology to his sister, yet she had already started envisioning the prospects. Lu Nian wasn't clear about the technical aspects and had no interest in understanding them. However, she was very familiar with the financial prospects and operations in the capital market. Her years in university and research after graduation were not in vain. She couldn't wait to start specific operations. Lu Lang opened his mouth, realizing he had little to add. He would handle the technical matters, while his sister was naturally more professional in capital operations and business management. Having a finance was to help him would save him a lot of time. Moreover, this person was his own sister, making her the perfect choice. After gathering the relevant technical information, Lu Nian hurriedly took a taxi that Lu Lang helped her hail and left. Lu Lang's intention to acquire the nearly bankrupt rehabilitation institution was certainly not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Although he now had a fortune of tens of millions, it was still far from enough for filming a live-action version of The Wandering Earth. As his first live-action film, Lu Lang strives for perfection. He believes that various sci-fi props, and even the construction of a small space elevator in the real world to assist with filming, are essential. The technologies for the space elevator and exoskeleton armor are already available, but building even a scaled-down version of the space elevator requires substantial funding. At this point, the commercial development of exoskeleton armor technology has entered Liu Lang's plans. In the film, exoskeleton armor technology is primarily applied to military equipment. Liu Lang certainly cannot replicate this directly. His sister Liu Nian's research into the rehabilitation market presents a great civilian commercialization channel for the exoskeleton armor technology. With the profit sharing from DJI drones, along with various support from a certain entertainment company, if all goes smoothly, Liu Lang will soon be able to start filming the live-action version of The Wandering Earth. As for how long it will take to officially kick off the live-action film project, that depends on the success of the commercialization of exoskeleton armor technology. Bro, I've already taken care of the patent registration. Now we just need to wait for the funding. We need at least 20 million for the angel round. You'll have to showcase the technology to the investors. Do you have any opinions on the share percentage to offer them? To secure funding, one naturally has to pay a price, and giving up shares is the most common choice for tech entrepreneurs. I don't think we need to seek funding. Although I graduated not long ago, I've saved up some money that's enough for you to acquire that company. When Liu Lang handed Liu Nian a bank check worth 20 million, Liu Nian was stunned. No way, bro. Is making movies that profitable? Chapter 33. Paying back is impossible. Although Liu Nian grew up in a well-off family, 20 million is still an astronomical number for her. A real check worth 20 million and the figure of 20 million on a financial report are two completely different things. The former is given by her brother, while the latter is just unrelated work data. After confirming that the 20 million bank check is indeed cashable, Liu Nian became even more curious about the mysterious film industry. Liu Lang didn't elaborate much. He couldn't possibly tell his sister that he had a magical film black technology system, right? That would be too absurd. Moreover, upon reflection, all of his current savings directly or indirectly came from shooting sci-fi short films, so Liu Nian's perspective wasn't entirely off. With the 20 million check in hand, Liu Nian hurriedly went to negotiate with the rehabilitation institution, seeing that there was someone willing to take over this mess. The company eagerly signed an agreement with Liu Nian that day, fearing she might change her mind. There are no effective methods for the complete rehabilitation of patients with disabilities, whether through medication or equipment treatment, on a global scale. As a company that has struggled in this industry for 2 years, they are well aware of the difficulties involved. So when Liu Nian arrived at the company with a check, everyone assumed she was just a wealthy but naive heiress, eager to sell. They didn't take the time for thorough investigations and willingly signed the agreement. Liu Nian even capitalized on their eagerness, negotiating the acquisition price down from 20 million to 18 million. With both parties actively cooperating, the acquisition process was unusually swift, completing all procedures in just a few days. When Liu Lang returned, the once rehabilitation institution had completely become his asset. Brother, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that we acquired this institution for 18 million. The bad news is that they are burdened with over 50 million in bank debt, which is due in 6 months. Originally valued at hundreds of millions, the company has now depreciated to less than 20 million, with debt being a significant factor. This is also why the previous owners were eager to sell. Although Liu Nian is confident in the market prospects of the exoskeleton technology, the substantial bank debt still causes her some concern. So, do we need to pay off this bank debt within 6 months? Not necessarily. As long as we can generate profits within that time frame, the bank is unlikely to pressure us for repayment. In this day and age, those who owe money hold the power. The more you can't pay, the more urgent the bank becomes. But as long as you show the ability to repay, the bank would even prefer that you borrow more from them. After the acquisition, Liu Lang first checked the equipment manufacturing department. This rehabilitation institution's previous selling point was its ability to develop medical devices for disabled patients, helping them regain mobility as quickly as possible. Thus, the medical device manufacturing department is a crucial part of the company's assets. However, they underestimated the difficulty of developing such medical devices, having only created a high-tech massage electric wheelchair in 2 years, which, aside from its massage function, is hardly different from a regular electric wheelchair. This led many patients who paid a high price for the rehabilitation services to feel deceived. Many began to lose hope for recovery and resorted to extreme measures, trying to force the rehabilitation institution to refund their money. Liu Lang encountered one such patient during his first visit, who had attempted suicide after feeling hopeless. The siblings were inspecting the equipment manufacturing facility, which contained the industrial production lines and various equipment materials and tools that Liu Lang needed. Most importantly, this rehabilitation institution possessed the qualifications for the production and sale of relevant medical devices. Liu Lang no longer had to worry about production procedures. He just needed to modify and debug the production line to produce and sell the exoskeleton as a medical device. While Lu Lang was contemplating the modification and development of the medical version of the exoskeleton, a sudden commotion erupted outside the factory. Unethical business. Refund us. False advertising. Give us back our hard-earned money. It turned out that the inpatients of the numerous rehabilitation facilities and their families had gathered to protest. They were already quite dissatisfied with the facility's failure to deliver on the promised treatment results, and now hearing that the company had changed ownership, they feared that the new investors might abandon them. This stirred up a wave of anger among all the hospitalized patients. Accompanied by their families, they surrounded the equipment manufacturing plant adjacent to the rehabilitation center, demanding answers from the newly appointed siblings, Lu Lang and his sister. The leader of the group was the patient who had attempted suicide by jumping off the rooftop of the cafeteria that day. The 3-story height of the cafeteria had not claimed his life, but it had worsened his already frail condition. Initially, he had only lost a leg, but now both legs and one arm were in casts, leaving him with just one arm to swing in anger. Seeing the patients and their families surrounding the place with such fervor, Lu Nian, who had never witnessed such a scene, felt a bit at a loss. The workers inside the factory, however, seemed indifferent to the situation, retreating to the sidelines to watch the spectacle, showing no intention of coming to the aid of their new boss. After all, they were just low-paid workers making a few thousand a month. Who knew when the factory might go under? It wasn't worth risking their lives. Brother, I've called the police. But they won't arrive for at least 15 minutes. What should we do? Lu Nian nervously clutched her brother's hand, as if that would provide her with a sense of security. Lu Lang sensed his sister's anxiety and patted her hand reassuringly, signaling that he would handle the situation. Let us talk calmly. What are your demands? Lu Lang approached the crowd of patients and their families, asking loudly and calmly. Looking around, he saw nothing but angry faces. And he even recognized a delivery person who had brought him meals several times in the past, but there was no time for reflection. The most important thing was to address the concerns of the patients and their families. Refund us. The main entrance is blocked, and even if the police come today, it won't help, shouted the leader, who was lying in a wheelchair with his neck strained. Hearing this, the other patients and their families responded in unison. Lu Lang frowned at the mention of a refund, looking at the hundreds of people in front of him. He had no idea how much money the rehabilitation facility had taken from them. If he agreed to refund them, wouldn't that make him a fool? We can discuss the refunds later. Just as the crowd was about to erupt, Lu Lang quickly added, if I can help you stand up and regain your mobility, wouldn't that solve the problem? Don't listen to his empty promises. I've heard this for 2 years, it's all a lie. If you really had the ability, I'd jump off this factory roof right now. An agitated individual waved his only functioning arm, pointing at the roof of the manufacturing plant, which stood 20 to 30 meters high. Lu Lang looked up at the height of the factory and sighed. There really was no way to deal with this. Watching the crowd being stirred up by a certain individual, Lu Lang didn't say much more. He returned to the workshop and pushed out a small flat cart. On it lay the prototype of the exoskeleton armor he had personally crafted. Originally, he had brought it to use the equipment in the workshop for fine-tuning, preparing for mass production later. He hadn't expected it to be put to use ahead of time. Seeing the oddly shaped device appear before them, the onlookers, including patients and their families, exchanged doubtful glances. Given that this rehabilitation center had previously produced ineffective devices like electric massage wheelchairs, the crowd was skeptical and did not believe in its efficacy. I need a volunteer. Who would like to come up and give it a try? You'll have priority to purchase the mass-produced model of the rehabilitation treatment armor. Lu Lang scanned the crowd, but upon hearing the word volunteer or test subject, everyone hesitated. I'll do it. Suddenly, a loud voice called out from the crowd. It was another patient in a wheelchair. Old Zhang, take it easy. You can barely move your head. Don't go and hurt yourself. Even more, some people started to kindly advise the patient, who was completely paralyzed from the neck down. I've had enough of living like a potted plant every day, just able to talk. What's the difference between me and a vegetative state? It's worse than death. If I could just die, that would be better. Encouraged by the words of fellow patients, Old Zhang became even more determined to give it a try. If it weren't for his paralysis, he might have already jumped off a building to end his life. With a willing volunteer, Lu Lang wasted no time and began to help Old Zhang put on the exoskeleton armor prototype. Everyone hurry and record this. It's all evidence. We can't let them deny it later. One person's comment made many in the crowd realize the importance, and they quickly took out their phones to film, preparing to upload it online to apply public pressure on the company. Lu Lang was indifferent to this, having personally made and worn the exoskeleton armor. He had full confidence in it. He regarded the crowd's filming as merely customer testimonials for the medical version of the exoskeleton armor. Amidst the crowd's mix of anticipation and skepticism, Lu Lang finally helped Old Zhang wear the prototype armor. The crowd looked at Old Zhang, who was still lying in the wheelchair, their doubts deepening. Is this the result after all that effort? Isn't it still useless? Ignoring the crowd's skepticism, Lu Lang said to old Zhang. Stand up and take a few steps. Stand up and take a few steps. If it had been in the past, the hot-tempered old Zhang would have started cursing. He had been paralyzed for nearly 10 years. Wasn't he this just making fun of him? But as he thought this, old Zhang's hand lifted and pointed at Lu Lang. Wait, my hand can move. Old Zhang was astonished. Without any external help, his hand had actually risen. I think I can move. Old Zhang's brain was frantically issuing commands to his body to stand up. A slight tingling sensation spread through the back of his neck, and then, surprisingly, he actually stumbled to his feet. After 10 years of being paralyzed from the waist down, he had become somewhat unaccustomed to controlling his body. It took him over a minute to adapt before he finally stabilized himself with the help of an exoskeleton suit. Come on, take a couple of steps, just try to walk a bit. Lu Lang calmly guided old Zhang, who was still in a daze, ignoring the astonished onlookers. To everyone's amazement, old Zhang truly managed to walk, even jumping a couple of times in place. With the assistance of the exoskeleton, the mechanical devices tightly fitted to his limbs worked under the control of a brain-machine interface, helping old Zhang's body begin to move in coordination. Thanks to the advanced and mature brain-machine interface, he was able to act with no delay, as if he had regained control of his body. For someone who had been paralyzed for a decade, it felt miraculous. Excited, he even started to run and jump around the factory area. As he exercised, tears streamed down his face. After 10 long years, he finally felt his limbs again. Seeing old Zhang, a fellow patient who had been paralyzed, moving like a normal person, especially the few jumps he made, felt like a heavy blow to the hearts of many patients present. Old Zhang, come back. Let me try it. Old Zhang, you're too old for this. Don't run. It's too dangerous. I'm young. Let me do it. Old Zhang, I'll find you a partner. My younger sister, come back. The onlookers were envious and jealous as they watched old Zhang joyfully running around the factory. If someone who was paralyzed could use it, then those with less severe disabilities would find it even easier, right? In no time, many patients who could still operate their electric wheelchairs were green with envy and started moving towards old Zhang. The previously tense crowd around the factory began to disperse. Only a few patients who couldn't operate their electric wheelchairs were left watching old Zhang run off in the distance. Hey, do you have any extra of that equipment? One person, with only one hand capable of movement, approached Lu Lang with the help of a family member and asked eagerly, I'll give you 300,000. Will you sell me a set? Your situation is a bit complicated. Not complicated at all. Not at all. I'll offer you 500,000. How does that sound? If that doesn't work, just tell me a number, please. The person's face was twisted with desperation, almost in tears. He never expected Lu Lang could really help them regain their mobility. Now, he wished he could slap himself for being so embarrassed. It was one thing to be humiliated. But what if Lu Lang held a grudge and refused to sell him anything? That would be disastrous. Patients who could afford to stay in such a high-end rehabilitation facility had some financial means, as the treatment fees could reach hundreds of thousands to millions each year, which ordinary families could hardly bear. Therefore, as long as they can restore their mobility, it's not just hundreds of thousands. They would find ways to raise millions. Just wait until your fractures heal before discussing this. For now, you need to register and wait in line. Lu Lang casually sent one person away, and upon learning that it would take 3 months before he might be able to stand again, depending on equipment availability, he felt utterly despondent. Meanwhile, outside the rehabilitation center, a large number of police forces had already assembled. Chapter 35, Commercial Mass Production Model Finalization. The situation inside was somewhat complicated. Hundreds of patients and their families had surrounded the factory, and their emotions were running high, making it impossible to breach directly without provoking them and causing a stress reaction. Snipers quickly took their positions, loading tranquilizer bullets. The Special Police Airborne Unit was ready, prepared to deploy at any moment to rescue hostages. Other supporting units remained on the periphery, waiting for further orders. The objective was to rescue the hostage while ensuring his safety. Efforts should be made to avoid harming the agitated crowd. If anyone attempted to attack the target, limited use of force was permitted to prevent the action. Outside the wall, a serious-looking man with a buzz cut and no identifiable insignia was conducting operational deployment. Captain, which unit is this guy from? Why is he in charge of the scene? Just a civil dispute, and they even deployed the special police team and called in a police helicopter. Isn't that a bit excessive? Yeah, our official police forces aren't even allowed to participate directly. We're just here on the periphery. Hearing his subordinates' complaints, Captain Peng, who was also confused. After receiving the call from the police center, he thought it was just an ordinary civil dispute. However, within a mere 10-minute drive, he received 3 consecutive calls from his superiors, including the team leader, the chief, and the district security bureau head, urging him to cooperate with the higher authorities. On the way, he even saw the special police team arriving, fully armed, and even the police helicopter, typically only used during drills, was dispatched. At that moment, Peng Hu almost thought there had been a terrorist attack in the area. Everyone focus. Don't embarrass our precinct. Keep the chatter to a minimum. Peng Hu reprimanded his younger officers before leading them to their designated waiting area. Just as the buzzcut man, the overall commander of the operation, was about to officially initiate the rescue, intelligence from within caught him off guard. What do you mean it's already resolved? Didn't we just say it was on the verge of breaking out and needed quick support? Well, I can't quite explain it either. You'd better come in and see for yourself. When the buzzcut man ordered all police forces to enter the enclosed area, many officers and special operations personnel were stunned by what they saw. Dozens, or even hundreds of disabled patients were driving electric wheelchairs, chasing after a figure ahead. That figure, moving swiftly, appeared to be an elderly man. An elderly man was wearing a strange armor made of various metal frames, moving at an astonishing speed that surpassed what one would expect from someone his age. Old Zhang, stop running. Let me touch that thing. I won't compete with you. Old Zhang, if you keep running, I'll pull out your catheter. Grandpa Zhang, don't run outside. Don't damage that armor. I haven't tried it yet. Peng Hu and his subordinates had just pried open the main door when they saw a figure rushing towards them, followed closely by dozens or even hundreds of electric wheelchairs. In his 20 years of police work, he had never encountered such a bizarre scene. Captain, is that person running ahead a hostage? What hostage? That's a patient from this facility. Isn't this a rehabilitation center? Shouldn't it be filled with people with disabilities? How can that guy run faster than me? By the time the situation was completely under control, an hour had passed. After a forceful effort involving dozens of officers, they finally removed the exoskeleton armor prototype from Old Zhang. Originally, many patients and their families had gathered to protest and demand refunds from the rehabilitation center. But now they were quarreling over the order of purchasing slots for the rehabilitation-type prosthetic armor. At this point, no one was talking about refunds anymore. They were eager for Lu Lang to start collecting pre-orders for the rehabilitation-type prosthetic armor. After a lengthy commotion, the situation was finally resolved satisfactorily. The hospitalized patients reached a full understanding with Lu Lang. Lu Lang promised to expedite the development of the commercial model of the rehabilitation-type prosthetic armor and ensure that hospitalized patients would have priority purchasing rights. Following this, Lu Lang could finally start working on the commercial model of the exoskeleton armor. When Lu Lang initially created the prototype, it was based on the military model seen in films. The commercial version, of course, could not be as rugged as the prototype. It was best to set up 3 model versions, a low-end model to meet basic needs, as inexpensive as possible to expand the user base, a mid-range model to build reputation and focus on promotion, and a high-end model designed as a luxury item to elevate brand value and target the wealthy class. His sister Lu Nian, a professional in the field, understood market demand concepts better than Lu Lang. With her suggestions, Lu Lang spent a week finalizing the first batch of commercial exoskeleton armor for the market. The Guardian series, as the cheapest commercial version, was made entirely of spliced stainless steel, and to reduce costs and speed up modular mass production, the use of metal materials was minimized. The entire Guardian series, aside from the crucial brain-machine interface, had material costs that were only a few hundred yuan. Within the Guardian series, there were 2 styles, the fashion dynamic version suited for individuals with mild disabilities, such as missing one limb, ensuring they could regain some mobility after use. The latter is designed for individuals with significant disabilities, for example, those who are paralyzed from the neck down, and can help restore a degree of mobility, allowing for basic self-care. The Premium series, as the backbone of the plan, serves the most important middle-class demographic in the consumer market. The entire series is made from aerospace-grade aluminum alloy, carbon fiber for the sports series, and various high-strength, durable materials, with components designed to fit the human body to enhance comfort as much as possible. It offers up to 10 different sizes to accommodate a wider range of customers based on the wearer's body shape and weight. Additionally, the Premium series provides various customization services, including but not limited to color change films, custom pattern engravings, and the addition of functional kits. Within this series, there are 2 models, the Luxury Dynamic and the Luxury Intelligent. The former targets all demographics, allowing even able-bodied users to gain enhanced athletic capabilities while significantly reducing their physical exertion. The latter is a comprehensive upgrade of the Guardian series Intelligent model, featuring stronger prosthetic components, greater comfort in wear, and more comprehensive services. Lastly, there is the Exclusive series, aimed at the high-end market. The user group for the Exclusive series is positioned within the consumer market's least price-sensitive high-end tier. Therefore, the lowest-priced model in this series starts at over $1 million. In the future, there will be limited edition collaborations with various brands, using luxury materials such as precious metals and leather to enhance brand value. Technologically, the products will not differ significantly from the mid-range, Premium series. There will also be a bespoke high-end version to meet the needs of outdoor extreme sports enthusiasts, including climbing. mountaineering, and emergency rescue in the wild, which presents a substantial market opportunity. As equipment for outdoor adventures, the performance and quality requirements are exceptionally high, as these items can be life-saving in critical moments. Serving this demographic well will greatly enhance the brand's reputation and prestige. Therefore, the performance ceiling of the bespoke high-end version will reach the upper limits of commercial specifications. Once the initial models are confirmed, Lu Lang began to modify the production line within the equipment manufacturing facility. The manufacturing challenge for the commercial mass production version of the therapeutic prosthetic armor lies in the brain-computer interface device, which is essential for information exchange between the human body and the prosthetic armor. Its importance is unquestionable. The other parts of the prosthetic armor do not have such high demands in terms of manufacturing difficulty and confidentiality. As long as the supply of the critical brain-computer interface device is well controlled, the other components can be managed by the equipment manufacturing department. After solving the issue of industrial mass production of the prosthetic armor, a new challenge arose for Lu Lang: how to promote it. Previously, when patients and their families surrounded Lu Lang and his sister, the videos taken during that time failed to spread online due to various issues such as network restrictions, safety permit limitations, and content violations. Lu Nian, his sister, initially suggested following the usual practice of tech companies by collaborating with popular influencers to promote the product and spending money on online platforms. The effectiveness of this approach was uncertain, but the expenses would definitely be significant. By the way, brother, aren't you also an internet celebrity? It's perfect for you to endorse your own product. If Lu Nian hadn't reminded him, Lu Lang might have forgotten that he was now considered a prominent figure online. After the release of the sci-fi short films Space Elevator Battle and Moonfall Crisis, and with strong support from Byte Entertainment, Lu Lang had become one of the most well-known figures in the sci-fi community. He had over 60 million followers on Douyin, and the number was still rising. Recently, searches related to him were trending across various online platforms. Although the initial hype had diminished, he had become a household name. Seizing the momentum, Lu Lang began promoting on his social media platform. He released a video announcing the establishment of his own tech company, Tech. He introduced a technological product aimed at helping disabled individuals regain mobility, the rehabilitation prosthetic armor. The video not only detailed the features and parameters of 3 types of prosthetic armor, the Guardian Series, Selected Series, and Premium Series, but also revealed their basic pricing. The Guardian Series was positioned as the low-end option, starting at $99,900, excluding the technological value of the brain-machine interface. The production cost for one set of Guardian Series prosthetic armor was only about $900, leaving a profit margin of $99,000. The Selected Series targeted the mid-range market, offering more features and catering to a broader audience beyond just physically disabled individuals with higher quality materials. Its price range was between $300,000 and $1,000,000. Lastly, the Premium Series, priced above $1 million, was not Lu Lang's focus until the prosthetic armor gained wider market acceptance. If the Guardian Series and Selected Series receive positive market feedback, luxury brands would naturally be interested in collaboration, which would further enhance the product's value. As for concerns about whether the pricing was too high, Lu Lang was untroubled. The functionality of the rehabilitation prosthetic armor was an absolute necessity for disabled individuals, and with such a large demand, he was confident in its sales. Indeed, in the end, it's all about promotion. Lu Lang, have you forgotten your original intention? Hurry up and make that video, you procrastinator. Tech. The name is quite good. It has a sci-fi feel to it. I initially thought it would be called something like Lu Lang Technology. I wanted to support the big guy since the production cost of CG special effects videos is very high, but isn't this price too steep? It starts at a minimum of $100,000, and that's just for the low-end version suitable for people with disabilities. The premium dynamic version I'm interested in costs a staggering $600,000. The person above probably doesn't understand the pricing of such specialized medical equipment, right? $100,000 is already considered low. If the effects shown in the video are real, there would be plenty of people willing to pay $500,000. This is a medical device that can help paralyzed individuals regain mobility. Why does this thing look so much like exoskeleton armor from games? Since weight capacity isn't an issue, I suggest adding some armor modules and weapon modules to make it a super soldier on the battlefield. The introduction video was just uploaded, and a large number of viewers immediately flooded the comment section. When Lu Lang saw someone suggest militarizing the exoskeleton armor, he couldn't help but smile. He certainly knows the military value of exoskeleton technology. After all, the therapeutic exoskeleton he is promoting is derived from military-grade exoskeletons seen in movies. However, knowing is one thing. He can't actively sell these technologies that involve national defense. He can't be sure how the authorities would react. If he runs into a hardliner, what if he gets forcibly detained? Individual power pales in comparison to the will of the state. As he prepares for the shooting of a live-action film based on the Wandering Earth, he doesn't want to get shut down at this critical moment. Collaborating with the authorities could indeed bring many conveniences, but it could also lead to various uncertainties. Lu Lang chooses to observe for now. The technology applied in the therapeutic exoskeleton will inevitably attract the attention of the authorities. If they come to him for collaboration later, he will then have more negotiating space. Chapter 37. Running Under the Setting Sun. Lost youth after Lu Lang chose to endorse his product. The therapeutic exoskeleton immediately sparked widespread discussion online. As an unprecedented, innovative technological device, the functions showcased in the promotional video provide assistance to people with disabilities that far exceed all medications and equipment available on the market. Naturally, this also attracted countless doubts. Can someone who makes animated films really create such a technological product? It's fine for a sci-fi director to endorse tech products, but to claim that you made this is just absurd. As a researcher in life sciences, I can say that the artificial neuron projects in the world are still in the early stages of development. Based on the effects promoted in the video, I can only say there is a possibility, but the difficulty of implementation is too great. There's probably a 30 to 40-year gap compared to the current global standards. Cyberpolice, the Academy of Sciences, come out to verify. The doubts online flooded the comments section of the video like a tidal wave. Many potential buyers, upon seeing this situation, began to hesitate. As the strategic director of the entertainment division, Dong Yinling was unusually anxious and quickly contacted Lu Lang. Mr. Lu, if you need money, just let me know. There's no need to get involved in this murky business. What is the situation with that technology? How much did you receive from them? No matter the compensation amount, hurry up and return it. This money should come from the company. We need to distance ourselves from them immediately. I've already contacted the legal department, and a professional team of business lawyers will come to assist you. Just an hour after the video was released, Dong Yinling reached out to the legal department requesting support. As a celebrated sci-fi director supported by the entertainment division, Lu Lang's works had not only created a buzz domestically, but also received acclaim internationally. His new work, The Wandering Earth, had been submitted for a well-known international sci-fi literature award and had already been shortlisted. At this critical moment, Dong Yinling absolutely could not allow Lu Lang to be mired in any negative publicity. Although the situation was still being assessed, she, like many others, had already jumped to the conclusion that Lu Lang had been deceived into endorsing this technology. After all, it sounded too sci-fi for a film school graduate to crack a life sciences project concerning neurons that had troubled countless researchers worldwide. Ms. Dong, the technology is from my own company, and everything promoted in the video is true. I can't explain the specifics over the phone, but time will reveal the truth. Lu Lang did not elaborate further and ended the call after reassuring her not to worry too much. Director, I found out that this technology originally belonged to a rehabilitation institution, which was recently acquired and renamed. The owner and legal representative of the company are Lu Lang and Lu Nian. After ending the call, Dong Yinling initially thought Lu Lang was just being stubborn, but her assistant confirmed that he was indeed telling the truth. However, Dong Yinling did not let her guard down. The company might be his, but the technology in the video might not be genuine. The reason Lu Lang hurriedly hung up was that he was busy preparing for another matter, running a half marathon. However, the key was not that he would run it himself, but that old Zhang, who was equipped with the premium series, prosthetic armor, would participate. Lu Lang had thought this through carefully. To dispel doubts, mere words were ineffective. He needed to prove it through action. And what could be more convincing than having an elderly man in a wheelchair complete a half marathon while wearing it? The first batch of prosthetic armor produced in the manufacturing facility was used by Lu Lang for promotional purposes. Patients in the rehabilitation area, upon hearing that they could be among the first to purchase the rehabilitation prosthetic armor by participating in the promotion, eagerly signed up, almost leading to a frenzy. In the end, it was old Zhang, who was paralyzed from the waist down, who stood out and was selected to participate in the upcoming half marathon in the Lakeside District. In order to cooperate with the promotion, Lao Zhang expressed that he didn't mind revealing his true identity. After many years, he once again experienced the feeling of running, which he considered more precious than anything else. Bro, are you ready? It's about to start. Lu Nian quickly covered the exoskeleton armor tightly fitted to Lao Zhang's body with sportswear, and then excitedly gave her brother an okay gesture. She had to admit that compared to her brother Lu Lang's imaginative promotional approach, her previous suggestion of hiring popular influencers was simply too low-key. Beside them, Lao Zhang was also incredibly excited. The exoskeleton armor he was wearing this time had undergone significant optimization. It was smaller and more form-fitting than before, resembling a full-body support garment. Under the cover of the sportswear, no one could detect its presence. Lu Lang received the signal and began to open his phone, activating the live streaming mode. Hello everyone, I am Lu Lang, and I am currently participating in the half marathon in Binhai District. Lu Lang waved at the camera, introduced the situation on site, and then turned the camera to focus on the main competitor of the tech team, Lao Zhang. Big shot. How can you still have time to live stream while running? Hurry up and respond to the doubts. Lu Lang, you have to hold on. Don't let us down. Where's the host? I want to see the handsome host. Who is this old man? The old man looks very spirited. He seems to be over 60, and he can still participate in a half marathon? I bet 50 cents. This old man definitely won't finish the whole distance. As soon as Lu Lang started the stream, a large number of onlookers flooded into the live chat. They initially thought Lu Lang was streaming to address the controversies from the video. However, to their surprise, Lu Lang didn't mention the topic at all and seemed entirely focused on live streaming the half marathon. Gradually, under Lu Lang's camera guidance, the audience began to pay attention to Lao Zhang. With the sound of the starting gun, thousands of people began the 21-kilometer race. Lu Lang held the gimbal, aiming the camera at Lao Zhang for the entire live stream. Just arrived in the live chat. What is going on here? The old man is running really fast, already in the first echelon. It's useless. Long-distance running is about endurance, not explosiveness. It doesn't matter how fast you start, you won't last long. Lao Zhang was unaware of the discussions in Lu Lang's live chat and didn't care. He was only focused on running freely, enjoying the sweat and the feel of the wind on his face. He recalled the times he ran under the sunset, memories of his lost youth. Chapter 38. Hardcore Promotion Method Director. I've contacted the media, including newspapers, TV stations, and some fitness influencers who will be on site. Upon hearing this, the director of the Binhai District Sports Commission, who had just participated in the opening speech, nodded in satisfaction. To prepare for the upcoming half marathon in the Binhai District, he spent nearly half a year organizing the event, aiming to achieve notable results and gain recognition from the district leaders. To enhance the event's international and professional appeal, he officially invited a group of renowned African long-distance runners to participate, with the cooperation of numerous enterprises and universities in the Binhai District. The number of participants reached around 4,000 to 5,000, showcasing the community's enthusiasm for sports and contributing positively to the establishment of a civilized demonstration area. It also represented a commendable achievement in governance. Wait, who is that running at the front? The director glanced at the live drone footage and noticed that the leading position, initially occupied by professional African runners, was now held by an unfamiliar elderly man. The assistant quickly checked the registration details. Director, it's someone from a tech organization. Registered as 60 years old, the assistant remarked, somewhat surprised. Wow, this old gentleman is really impressive. At such an age, he still possesses remarkable athletic ability. Shally, make sure to feature this old man more in the broadcast. He can be a key promotional focus. Also, have a rescue vehicle follow him closely. We need to keep an eye on him to avoid any incidents. The 60-year-old man, undeterred, was determined to run the marathon like the younger participants. This headline would be incredibly appealing, perfectly aligning with the positive energy they aim to promote. If the elderly man could push himself so hard, how could the younger generation afford to slack off? The director, while watching the elderly man's running footage, was contemplating how to promote the event to maximize benefits for himself. The organizer of the Binhai District Half Marathon. However, as he continued watching, something seemed off. What was happening? How was this elderly man still maintaining his position in the leading pack? The professional African runners behind him were falling further and further behind. Many spectators on site began to notice something was amiss. When Lao Zhang reached the front of the running group, many cheered him on. But as he maintained his position at the forefront, those who had participated in long-distance running began to look increasingly astonished. Long-distance running has always been about endurance, especially in a marathon, which is an ultra-long-distance event. Generally, it is difficult for an ordinary person to complete the full distance, let alone lead ahead of professional runners. 20 minutes had passed since the start, and the elderly man was still holding his lead, with the gap to the professional runners growing larger over time. This is absurd, right? I ran a half marathon and took nearly 3 hours. This old man is far better than I am. Not just better than you. There's a live broadcast of the Binhai District Half Marathon, and the old man has left a group of professional runners far behind. Wait, if you look closely, it seems the old man is wearing the exoskeleton armor that was previously promoted by the rehabilitation center under his sportswear. Could this live stream be for promoting the effectiveness of a product? The viewers in Lu Lang's live broadcast room quickly regained their composure and soon guessed Lu Lang's purpose for going live with considerable accuracy. Director, it seems something is off. I just want to ask the tech head, Ms. Lu Nian, about that elderly gentleman's situation. What do you mean something is off? Is he perhaps a retired national athlete? That's not a problem. Our competition doesn't restrict professional athletes from participating. The director was not concerned about his assistant's panic. He actually hoped for a competitor like the elderly man who could stir up some excitement for the Binhai District Half Marathon. Director, you should come and see. This elderly gentleman is a patient from the Tech Rehabilitation Center. He is paralyzed from the waist down and classified as a grade 1 disability. The assistant said with a trembling voice. What nonsense are you talking about during the day? The director shot a fierce glare at him after hearing this. Any normal person would react similarly upon hearing about a paralyzed individual leading a marathon. However, when the director saw the elderly man's disability certificate and the 10-year-long medical report, he was left speechless and frozen in place. How is this possible? Given that the elderly man showed no signs of slowing down and was even picking up speed, it was very likely he would win first place in this half marathon. Yet, as the person in charge of organizing the event, the director thought of a terrifying consequence. A patient who had been paralyzed for 10 years running like the wind in his event, effortlessly defeating a group of professional long-distance runners to claim first place. This would definitely not be an uplifting story. It would absolutely turn into an incident. Who would believe in the fairness of the competition? Who would believe it? At that point, he would certainly be the scapegoat for the incident. Lu Lang had no idea how panicked the event organizers were. He followed closely behind the elderly man and took 58 minutes to finally reach the finish line. The staff waiting at the finish line looked bewildered as they watched the elderly man and Lu Lang arrive one after the other. They had expected the first finishers to be the invited professional long-distance runners from Africa. See, congratulations. If I'm not mistaken, with 57 minutes and 46 seconds. You should have broken the half-marathon world record. The staff stared at the timer in disbelief before finally conveying the good news to the elderly man with a strained tone. A 60-year-old man breaking the half-marathon world record left the staff in shock, not only offline, but once Lu Lang and the elderly man completed the race. It also caused a huge stir in the live stream and online. The live broadcast recorded every moment, and there was no possibility of tampering with the time data. As the identity of the elderly man as a 10-year paralyzed patient was revealed online, the whole situation began to take on a surreal quality. Lu Lang subsequently revealed the fitted exoskeleton armor under his and the elderly man's sportswear. This hardcore promotional approach has propelled the popularity of the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor directly to the trending lists across major internet platforms. After consulting with relevant authoritative researchers and understanding the technological strength contained in the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor, the security agency, which had been quietly monitoring the situation, finally took action. Chapter 39. Teacher Lu is starting class while the official personnel of the Binhu District Half Marathon were still debating whether Lu Lang and Lao Zhang, who were wearing auxiliary equipment, met the award standards of the event. Lu Lang had already lost interest in the race medal, compared to a medal from an amateur sports competition that was inconsequential. The online buzz generated by the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor was what he truly valued. Having acquired and renamed the tech company, which holds complete qualifications for the production and sales of medical devices, the manufacturing facility's production line can also support the mass production of the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor. With the efforts of his sister Lu Nian, the tech therapeutic-type prosthetic armor has officially started pre-sale online, even before Lu Lang's live broadcast was completely over. A large number of pre-sale orders began to emerge, thanks to Lu Lang's innovative and hardcore promotional methods, as well as the astonishing functionality exhibited by the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor. The tech product quickly gained popularity on the internet. Just as Lu Lang returned to the manufacturing facility, his sister Lu Nian informed him that a group of unexpected visitors had come to call. Hello, Mr. Lu, I am Shirley from the security department, with the rank of colonel. Looking at the stout man with a crew cut smiling at him, Lu Lang felt that he looked somewhat familiar. Upon hearing security department and colonel, Lu Lang's heart skipped a beat. Official forces had finally taken the initiative to contact him. Are you here for this? Lu Lang asked directly, pointing to the rows of therapeutic-type prosthetic armor on the production line. Shirley glanced at the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor on the production line and then at Lu Lang, his eyes filled with surprise. He hadn't expected Lu Lang to have achieved such remarkable research results so quickly. Although the technology demonstrated by the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor did not have a direct and obvious connection to national defense security, the related technologies for manufacturing, analyzing, and controlling artificial neurons were still cutting-edge research projects in the field of life sciences worldwide. Its research significance and the potential future value it could bring were immeasurable. Moreover, after their previous interaction, Shirley found Lu Lang to be more approachable than he had anticipated. To express his sincerity, he personally led a team of relevant scientific experts from the academy to verify the technology related to the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor. Since Shirley had disguised himself as a senior executive during the last meeting, this was the first formal encounter between Lu Lang and him. It's truly incredible, absolutely seamless. Lu Lang was conversing with Shirley when the accompanying researchers could no longer contain their excitement and began to try operating the samples of the therapeutic-type prosthetic armor placed on the shelves. After some exploration, the expert from the relevant field quickly donned the exoskeleton armor. Once activated, he could immediately manipulate his body through the brain-machine interface located at the back of his neck. The mechanical response, with virtually no delay, was almost equivalent to directly controlling the metallic exoskeleton with his brain. The delay caused by the conversion of neuronal signals had always been a major issue faced by researchers in the field. To see this troublesome problem completely absent in Lu Lang's therapeutic exoskeleton armor left the researcher in awe. This was researcher Tianyun from the 706 Institute, the senior head of the Brain Neuroscience Project. Shirley quickly introduced this amazed researcher to Lu Lang. If I'm not mistaken, the mainstream methods of artificial neuronal signal transmission worldwide currently involve 3 steps. The first step is converting dopamine chemical signals into electrical signals. The second step involves adaptively modulating the internal resistance state of the memristor using the electrical signals. The third step utilizes the Joule heating effect to stimulate the device to release dopamine chemical signals, which are then transmitted to adjacent neurons, enabling bidirectional interaction of chemical information. Lu Lang glanced at Shirley beside him and the researcher not far away, continuing, "This approach is not wrong, but if neuronal information interaction uses this method, it requires multiple complex conversions between chemical and bioelectrical signals. The efficiency is too low and the time consumption is too long, leading to persistent issues with operational delays." Hearing Lu Lang's words, the researcher and Tianyun nodded slightly, acknowledging that this was indeed a headache for the 706 Institute and researchers worldwide in related fields. "So I adopted a more direct and effective method, allowing the neuronal biological and chemical signals to be parsed and then interact through external electrical signals. This approach can significantly reduce the frequency of signal interaction and enhance the speed of neuronal signal parsing and transmission." Lu Lang slowly revealed a glimpse of the core technical principles regarding the exoskeleton armor from his mind. Upon hearing Lu Lang's words, Tianyun's eyes widened in disbelief. "So that's how it is, but this operation is far too complex. The technical difficulty is more than 10 times that of the original method. How did you achieve it?" Lu Lang smiled and briefly introduced Tianyun to the core design scheme of the neuronal interaction parsing in the brain-machine interface of the therapeutic exoskeleton armor. Although the artificial neuronal technology he revealed was just the tip of the iceberg, it left Tianyun astounded, as if the clouds had parted to reveal the sky. Shirley listened to the conversation between Lu Lang and Tianyun. Although he couldn't understand the advanced scientific concepts due to his background in security forces, he was fully aware of how significant Lu Lang's knowledge was. At this moment, the senior researcher from 706 Institute displayed the demeanor of a diligent student, eager not to miss any words spoken by Lu Lang, almost wishing to record everything on the spot. "How was it, senior researcher?" After a few minutes of conversation, Tianyun reluctantly pulled aside by Shirley inquiring, 10 years. The content of these few minutes could conservatively enhance our domestic artificial neuron project as research progress by 10 years. Is a few minutes of conversation really that valuable? Shirley naturally did not doubt Tianyun's words, thus he elevated his assessment of Lu Lang's value once again, his gaze toward Lu Lang becoming more fervent. "Mr. Lu, would you be interested in collaborating with 706 Institute?" Shirley slowly proposed a condition that the other party would definitely not refuse. "The debts your institute owes to the bank can be wiped out in one go, and we can provide a batch of interest-free loans, tentatively set at 300 million. After sharing this technology and collaborating with 706 Institute, I can officially guarantee that any related technology in the future will not be applied in the commercial sector and will absolutely not conflict with your technology company's business. Moreover, if you have any other requests, feel free to mention them. I will do my best to accommodate within my capabilities." Shirley earnestly conveyed the conditions that the official side could offer to Lu Lang. Lu Lang's eyes lit up upon hearing this. The terms were indeed surprisingly generous. The cancellation of the bank debt equated to a gift of over 50 million to Lu Lang, while the subsequent interest-free loan of up to 300 million, with no specific repayment time limit, was a timely boon for Lu Lang, who urgently needed funds for production line expansion. As for the shared cooperative technology that would not be applied in the commercial sector, besides ensuring it would not conflict with Lu Lang's technology company, Lu Lang also perceived an underlying implication. Not being applied in the commercial sector meant it would likely be used in the military sector. The technology showcased by the therapeutic-type powered armor has extensive applications in military fields as well. This was also what Shirley valued. Otherwise, a technology that could only achieve results in the civilian commercial sector wouldn't be enough for the Security Bureau to personally intervene. Speaking of which, I do have some requests. Lu Lang knew this was the best opportunity to voice his needs, as some things could only be conveniently managed through official channels. "Please go ahead." Shirley felt relieved. He was not afraid of Lu Lang making requests, but rather dreaded him being indifferent, as long as there were needs. It indicated room for negotiation. I would like to designate a piece of land here. Lu Lang eagerly opened the map on his phone, pointing to a coastal area on Hainan Island while addressing Shirley. Shirley looked somewhat puzzled. Was he planning to choose the company address here? Or was he planning to build a seaside villa? In fact, my profession is a director, and I am currently planning to shoot a sci-fi film. Preparing to select this place as the movie filming base. A film base? Filming a movie? Shirley looked a bit confused as he watched Lu Lang enthusiastically introduce his plans. He almost forgot that Lu Lang was indeed an award-winning sci-fi film director. However, weren't all the works he produced just short animated films? No director would be satisfied with making short films. Only a live-action movie that can be screened in theaters would truly showcase a director's capabilities. Sensing Shirley's thoughts, Lu Lang continued to explain. Seeing Lu Lang, who clearly could make a living from research and technology, but insisted on proving himself through filmmaking, Shirley felt both puzzled and greatly impressed. However, due to the special nature of the Security Bureau, Shirley had encountered many top domestic research and academic geniuses. While they possessed intelligence and logical reasoning far beyond the norm, they often also had some peculiar eccentricities. Some had cross-dressing tendencies, others liked to swim naked. Some would stroll on the streets and catch stray cats and dogs to take them to pet shops for sterilization. And there were even those who enjoyed spending nights near forests and graveyards. In comparison, Lu Lang's obsession with wanting to shoot a live-action sci-fi movie seemed rather ordinary. The film base Lu Lang chose was in a remote location, with only a semi-abandoned seaside port nearby. After making a few calls for instructions, Shirley quickly gave Lu Lang a positive response. The area, including the port, spanning 50 square kilometers, could be designated for his film shooting. After the filming, it could also continue to be used for commercial purposes. The local town officials would be briefed in advance to provide assistance for the movie's production. Shirley acted quickly. In just over 10 minutes and a few phone calls, he resolved the location issue that had been troubling Lu Lang. To enhance the film's authenticity and impact, on-site shooting was quite necessary. The live-action film The Wandering Earth was a significant project in Lu Lang's plans. The large scenes involved placed high demands on the shooting locations, particularly the need to highlight the grandeur of the settings. Additionally, considering the planned location for the space elevator, Lu Lang decided on Hainan Island at the southern tip of the map. Initially, Lu Lang thought that securing the filming base would not be an easy task. Even seeking help from a significant entertainment company might not yield such quick coordination. However, with the involvement of the Security Bureau representing official power, everything fell into place seamlessly. By the way, I also want to build a factory near the film shooting base and need you to provide some key high-temperature electrolysis equipment and some industrial gas materials. Considering the limitations on procuring specialized industrial equipment, Lu Lang took the opportunity to make another request. A factory? Why do you need to build a factory for filming? Shirley was somewhat puzzled. Shooting a sci-fi film requires high-quality props, and this is my first live-action sci-fi movie. I must strive for perfection. Lu Lang recalled the planned space elevator and answered earnestly. After listening, Shirley fell silent. It seemed that Lu Lang was serious about making a film, having selected a location for the shooting, and even built a factory specifically for creating movie props. This made him quite curious about what kind of science fiction film Lu Lang would ultimately produce. Alright, no problem. I will contact the relevant departments and resolve the factory issue as soon as possible. After finalizing some details, Lu Lang and Shirley finally reached a consensus. Lu Lang would share the technology behind the therapeutic exoskeleton armor with the official 706 Institute in exchange for support for his film. However, he was not ready to reveal the space elevator technology he possessed just yet. In his view, having the official involvement at the current level was just right, providing ample help without exerting too much influence over him. Lu Lang needed to ensure that he had absolute authority over the filming of The Wandering Earth. He decided to announce the space elevator technology to the authorities when the time was right. Mr. Lu, these drawings, they look quite like military design models. And Tianyun, while handing over the technical documents for the therapeutic exoskeleton armor, to Lu Lang, accidentally noticed that several drawings mixed and looked unusual. External reaction armor. Weapon platforms capable of carrying thousands of kilograms, battlefield emergency rescue equipment modules, and so on. Before he could ponder the military changes that the therapeutic exoskeleton armor might bring to the battlefield, the military application version based on exoskeleton armor technology appeared in front of him in the form of blueprints. Chapter 41. Hardcore Sci-Fi Film. These drawings are just for fun. I'm a filmmaker, what do I know about military equipment? They're drawn based on the concepts for sci-fi movie props. You mustn't take them seriously. Lu Lang quickly distanced himself from the drawings, and Tianyun was momentarily stunned. I see that these data are quite detailed. It should be feasible to implement, not something random. He was still puzzled when Shirley immediately reacted. Researcher and Mr. Lu has already said they are just for fun, let's not dwell on it. Shirley quickly urged the still unresponsive Tianyun to leave. The tech company currently focused on civilian commercial-grade, therapeutic exoskeleton armor, and any connection with the military would not be good news for the tech industry. Thus, Shirley could certainly understand Lu Lang's previous reaction, as Lu Lang, who mastered the therapeutic exoskeleton armor technology, designed a military version of exoskeleton armor. It would undoubtedly have significant reference value for the 706 Institute, which was still exploring artificial neuron-related technologies. These drawings would surely accelerate the development progress of the military version of exoskeleton armor. Shirley, who comes from a military background, places great importance on equipment that can significantly enhance individual combat capabilities. The country is known for having the strongest infantry in the world, and in Shirley's view, this individual equipment is the most likely invention to change the future landscape of land warfare. After resolving the collaboration with the official institution, Lu Lang's attention returned to managing the company, with the help of his sister Lu Nian, who specializes in financial management. The technology sector began to shake off the sluggishness of the original rehabilitation institution and started to recover rapidly. The primary reason for this resurgence was the large number of orders brought in by the therapeutic exoskeleton armor. After the half-marathon in the coastal district, the therapeutic exoskeleton armor completely captivated online audiences with Old Zhang's remarkable performance in the race. During the live broadcast, the powerful functions of the therapeutic exoskeleton armor worn by Old Zhang were evident. Tens of thousands of pre-sale orders quickly filled the production capacity of the manufacturing facility. And this was merely the number of orders received on the first day of pre-sales. Although the therapeutic exoskeleton armor is pricey, with basic models starting at around 100,000 and mid-range models reaching several hundred thousand, for individuals with disabilities who have a pressing need, the price is not considered excessive. The daily treatment and care costs for individuals with disabilities are high enough to make them determined to order a unit. Moreover, the therapeutic exoskeleton armor can restore their long-desired ability to move independently. With Lu Nian's assistance, the interest-free bank loan that Shirley agreed to was quickly used for the expansion of the manufacturing facility. The enormous number of orders represented substantial profits. Compared to the high selling price of the therapeutic exoskeleton armor, its production cost was relatively low. The newly added 10 production lines began working day and night to meet demand. As soon as the components came off the production line, they were immediately shipped out. The entire technology production department operated like a tightly wound machine, tirelessly generating significant profits for Lu Lang. Once the production and sales of the therapeutic exoskeleton armor were on track, Lu Lang handed over company affairs to his sister and turned his attention to the long-awaited live-action film project. Since acquiring the advanced film technology system, Lu Lang had been preparing for the live-action adaptation of The Wandering Earth. The two previously shot sci-fi CG shorts, Space Elevator Battle and Moonfall Crisis, were both groundwork for the live-action film. The advanced technologies he redeemed and the tech companies he acquired were all aimed at generating sufficient funds to initiate the filming of the live-action movie. The technology on the advanced tech list, such as the nuclear fusion planetary engine, worth 1 billion points, and the 550 series AI system, worth 3 billion points, made Lu Lang eager. Based on the previous box office success of The Wandering Earth, achieving a box office of 4 billion for a live-action film is not out of the question. However, redeeming points from box office earnings is not as straightforward as it is for short videos. The revenue from the short video comes from the Star Award, prize, and a one-time deal with a certain entertainment company, with no middleman taking a cut. Therefore, the points will be almost equivalent to the financial gains. However, movie box office earnings need to be shared with distribution companies, theaters, and other channels. Generally speaking, the final earnings that the production side can receive will not exceed 40% of the total box office. This means Lu Lang would need to shoot at least 2 films like The Wandering Earth to have a chance to earn 4 billion points in exchange for the nuclear fusion planet engine technology and 550 series artificial intelligence AI system technology. To maximize his box office revenue share and to earn as many points as possible, Lu Lang had to establish himself as the sole producer. The success of the therapeutic-type exoskeleton armor will bring him significant funds, giving him the confidence to start filming The Wandering Earth. Lu Lang's first contact was with the strategic director of the entertainment company, Dong Yinling. The resources controlled by the company were crucial for Lu Lang to shoot such a large-scale industrial sci-fi film. When Dong Yinling learned that Lu Lang was preparing to film a sci-fi-themed live-action movie, she was somewhat surprised. "Mr. Lu, is your script ready? What specific genre are you considering? Sci-fi comedy, sci-fi action, or sci-fi romance? What is the estimated investment?" A series of questions poured out from Dong Yinling, who was quite concerned about Lu Lang's new project as a director the company was planning to support. The script is based on the novel The Wandering Earth and is a hardcore sci-fi film. The estimated investment scale is around 6.8 billion. Lu Lang thought for a moment, factoring in the special effects scenes, and made a rough estimate of the costs. Hearing Lu Lang's words, Dong Yinling was stunned. Setting aside the script, the hardcore sci-fi genre, and the estimated investment of 6.8 billion left her speechless. It sounded like a guaranteed loss. There has been no successful precedent in the history of world cinema for hardcore sci-fi films achieving commercial success, with an investment of 6.8 billion. I find it hard to convince the company's decision-makers. Dong Yinling thought Lu Lang was calling to seek investment. Although she had significant authority as the strategic director, investments of such a high scale still needed to be reported to the company's decision-makers. Moreover, she wasn't optimistic about the hardcore sci-fi genre, so she could only politely decline Lu Lang. I have already resolved the investment issue. I just need your assistance with distribution and promotion. Upon hearing Lu Lang's explanation, Dong Yinling was once again taken aback. She was left with only one question in her mind. Who in the world would be foolish enough to invest 6.8 billion in a hardcore sci-fi film? Chapter 42. Yes, I am that unfortunate one. The significance of developing science fiction films is immense, and as the strategic director of Byte Entertainment, Dong Yinling is certainly more aware of this than anyone else. Just looking at the current global box office, the top 10 films such as Avatar, 3 Avengers, Star Wars, Jurassic World, and so on, are almost all heavily themed around science fiction elements. Audiences from different countries have varying preferences, and the cultural differences are vast. A genre that is wildly popular in one country may not resonate with audiences in other countries within the global film market. This explains why comedy and romance films, which are continuously popular in the domestic market, often struggle to find success abroad. The humor and jokes in these genres are difficult to connect with viewers from different cultural backgrounds. However, this issue does not apply to science fiction films. Elements like starships, laser weapons, mechs, giant beasts, and aliens, things that have never existed in the real world, can surprisingly pique the interest of people from various cultural circles worldwide. Coupled with the impressive visual effects and grand scenes, they can easily attract an audience. With the same ticket price and simultaneous release, domestic drama, romance, and comedy films simply cannot compete with the mature commercial science fiction films from abroad. This is also why Dong Yinling is determined to support science fiction themes. She wants Byte Entertainment to develop works that can have international influence. This is the only way to exert pressure on domestic competitors like Alibaba and Tencent. This is Byte Entertainment's strategy for overtaking the entire domestic film and television industry. Dong Yinling is optimistic about science fiction themes, but this does not include hardcore science fiction. By the way, where did you get the investment? Dong Yinling asked in confusion. The domestic film industry is not particularly large or small, and she couldn't fathom which investor would be willing to invest 6.8 billion in a hardcore science fiction film. It's my own money. I recently acquired a tech company and launched a therapeutic exoskeleton armor product, which has proven to be quite popular, Lu Lang replied. In addition, with the dividends from DJI's new products and some miscellaneous earnings, I have enough to invest in this film personally. Lu Lang was still being too modest. The therapeutic exoskeleton armor was not just popular, it was booming, with orders already lined up for 6 months. The existing production lines, including several that are currently being expanded, are like cash printing machines, generating revenue for Lu Lang at a furious pace. Dong Yinling was taken aback when she heard this. She then recalled the tech company under Lu Lang's name. Initially, she thought he was just dabbling in business since his primary job was a film director. But it turned out that Lu Lang was genuinely serious about operating in the tech field, and it seemed to be quite successful. By the way, the film shooting base and the associated props factory have also been secured, located on Hainan Island. It won't be long before we can initiate the film project. With the funding secured, the script ready, and the venue along with supporting equipment taking shape, seeing Lu Lang's serious attitude, Dong Yinling finally confirmed that the other party was genuinely prepared to produce this hardcore sci-fi film. If there was anything Byte Entertainment could assist with, she encouraged them to bring it up. Within her authority, she would find a way to accommodate. Without the immense pressure of a 6.8 billion investment, Dong Yinling was willing to contribute, helping out with some enhancements. She had heard plenty about actors bringing investments to projects, but a director doing so, especially with an unprecedented investment of 6.8 billion, was something she had never encountered before. This revelation eased her worries. Even if this hardcore sci-fi film were to lose money, it wouldn't significantly impact her role as the strategic director at Byte Entertainment. However, if she were to invest Byte Entertainment's funds into the film and it failed miserably, the 6.8 billion loss would be enough for her to resign in shame. For the film's distribution and promotion, along with various professional filming equipment and personnel on set, she hoped to draw from the resources under Byte Entertainment. The production of a large-scale industrial sci-fi film like The Wandering Earth demanded high quality and quantity of professional personnel and equipment. Although Lu Lang now had sufficient funds, he couldn't afford to waste time on hiring professionals and equipment for the shoot. Fortunately, Byte Entertainment had already acquired and gathered a considerable number of professional film industry personnel to establish a presence in the local film scene, with the necessary filming equipment readily available. With such convenient channels, Lu Lang certainly wouldn't let the opportunity pass. Moreover, making a film is different from producing short videos. Successfully releasing it in theaters involves various challenges such as reviews, distribution, coordinating with cinema chains, and pre-release promotions. For Lu Lang, it was far more complicated than merely filming. Thus, he planned to delegate these time-consuming, unrelated tasks to Byte Entertainment. Byte Entertainment had a professional distribution team, and with their expertise and the company's stature, they would carry more weight in negotiations with cinema chains than Lu Lang could on his own. Though it was hard to accept, Lu Lang had to acknowledge that as a new director with no prior film releases, he was just a nobody in front of those powerful cinema chains, lacking any negotiation leverage. Having Byte Entertainment assist with the film's distribution would not only save him a great deal of hassle, but a successful film would also count as an achievement for Byte Entertainment, creating a win-win situation. Furthermore, Lu Lang had personally experienced Byte Entertainment's strength in online promotion. Initially, the 15-minute sci-fi short Moonfall Crisis garnered him millions of fans, and with Byte Entertainment's strong push, he was even positioned as the leading figure in local sci-fi. Despite the controversies that arose, one couldn't deny that Byte Entertainment's promotional capabilities had impressed Lu Lang. If The Wandering Earth were completed with Byte Entertainment's promotional support, it would undoubtedly boost its box office performance significantly. These are all minor issues, and I will have the people below continue to follow up. Soon, Dong Yinling reached a verbal cooperation agreement with Lu Lang, whereby the entertainment company would provide Lu Lang with a batch of professional equipment and personnel. The rental fees for the equipment and salaries for the personnel would be paid in advance by the entertainment company and settled after the film shooting was completed. The distribution rights for the movie The Wandering Earth would also be handed over to the entertainment company. After resolving these issues, Lu Lang prepared to start the pre-promotion for the live-action film The Wandering Earth. Chapter 43, Pre-promotion of The Wandering Earth after a period of build-up. Since Lu Lang joined the platform, his total number of followers has reached an astonishing 68 million. Therefore, the platform naturally became Lu Lang's first choice for promotion. A new video was quickly released under Lu Lang's operation. I apologize for the long wait. Regrettably, this update is not the sci-fi short film everyone has been eagerly anticipating. However, I have good news. I am preparing my first live-action sci-fi movie, The Wandering Earth, adapted from my eponymous sci-fi novel. It is worth mentioning that two sci-fi shorts, including the space elevator battle and the moon crash crisis, are actually trailers for this film, The Wandering Earth. In the short video, Lu Lang briefly introduced The Wandering Earth, including the film's genre and a simplified worldview. Once the video was released, it quickly sparked heated discussions online. Old Pigeon, take this. A 40-meter-long broadsword. So the big shot is preparing a movie project? Is he finally going to transition from short videos to the big screen? Looking forward to it. A hardcore disaster sci-fi film? Is the big shot really choosing such a high-difficulty genre for his first movie? The Wandering Earth? Is that the one from the sci-fi writing competition? Wow. Taking the Earth on a journey. That's a huge concept. I love it. Looking forward to it. In the comments section of the video, the discussions from fans were mostly filled with blessings. Whether it was the space elevator battle, the moon crash crisis, or the therapeutic exosuit personally endorsed by Lu Lang, they all exuded a hardcore sci-fi vibe in their eyes. For many fans who love sci-fi themes, this type of sci-fi movie directed by Lu Lang is truly worth anticipating. However, not all of Lu Lang's 68 million followers were so optimistic. Many expressed their concerns. I just searched for Chinese sci-fi films on a review site, and it's hard to describe. I'm not being pessimistic, but we still have to rely on foreign films for sci-fi. What garbage are domestic directors making? I suggest focusing on romance, action, and comedy elements, just wrapping it in a sci-fi skin. If it's truly hardcore sci-fi, it will likely flop. The Wandering Earth? I don't quite get it. Who is the savior in this film? Will there be superheroes? For disaster-themed sci-fi films, I don't have high expectations. If it can reach half the level of 2012, that would be fine. The general public and casual fans were not optimistic about Lu Lang's promotional efforts for the live-action film. In the history of film in the country, there has never been a precedent for a hardcore sci-fi movie to achieve great box office success. This is also true globally. The highest-grossing sci-fi films often merely dress themselves in sci-fi elements while essentially being various types of genre films. Moreover, since the director has no prior experience in making feature films, even the most optimistic fans have less confidence in the upcoming project, The Wandering Earth. After the video was released, discussions among fans began to spread across major internet platforms in the country regarding the preparation for The Wandering Earth. Netizens who are not fans of the director expressed much harsher critiques. The Wandering Earth? Is this not just a product of the director's imagination? To take the Earth on a journey is simply laughable. I advise this director to watch more international disaster films. If a crisis for humanity truly occurs, building spacecraft to preserve the elite of humanity would be the most reasonable course of action, remarked a reader from a literary magazine. New generation directors in the country are still too immature and impulsive. The director's previous 2 sci-fi short films, while merely animated, did have some decent visual effects. But after finishing them, he seems to have gotten carried away, dreaming of stepping onto the big screen. I suggest these young directors should focus on honing their craft for a decade or so under the guidance of experienced predecessors. What can they possibly create otherwise? Commented an unknown director. I had the privilege of visiting a film studio in a certain well-known entertainment hub, which is the dream factory for sci-fi films worldwide. The industrialization there is completely ahead of the rest of the world by a significant margin, having developed the experience of large-scale, industrial production of sci-fi films. It's not an exaggeration to say that they are at least 30 years ahead of us. Therefore, I suggest that we should not waste efforts on developing sci-fi films. It's a thankless task. No matter how much energy we invest, can we really compete with them? It would be better to focus on action films, comedies, and romantic films, as rural themes are also quite popular in international award circuits. The sci-fi market can be left to others, stated an editor from a film magazine. The negative feedback for The Wandering Earth grew louder online, and as the discussion intensified, the original novel of the upcoming live-action film was also scrutinized. The plot involves a helium flash crisis from the sun, leading humanity to construct 10,000 planetary engines to drive the Earth away from the solar system towards a new home near Proxima Centauri. This journey is expected to take 500 years, spanning over 100 generations, and is named the Wandering Earth Project. Many could not help but comment upon seeing the synopsis of the novel, with some criticizing its implausibility without even finishing the short story of fewer than 25,000 words. In reality, the sun has at least 3 to 4 billion years left to live. Humanity is unlikely to last long enough to face the helium flash explosion. One comment read, "Every human has the right to choose. Why should we be forced to wander with the Earth?" This novel, filled with highly authoritarian and centralized ideas, seems to find its market only in this country, while abroad, where democracy and freedom are valued, such narratives would hardly gain traction. Discussions online have become increasingly heated, even reaching industry leaders who are typically less attuned to the internet. Is this the new director that the entertainment company is promoting? Is it a case of a daring newcomer venturing into the murky waters of sci-fi films? In the top-floor office of a prominent film company, industry leaders are commenting on Liu Lang. Boss, the recent surge in popularity for sci-fi themes seems to be somewhat related to this guy. The company is currently negotiating with another film studio to co-produce a romantic sci-fi movie, using a combination of mainland male stars and veteran actresses from Hong Kong, which seems like a safe bet to capitalize on the market trend. Hearing this report, the leader nodded. This combination of genre and actors is indeed much more reliable than the hardcore sci-fi film that had gained attention. Is the director confirmed? What about the script? We've preliminarily selected director Tung to take charge. His romantic films have a solid reputation. The script is adapted from the well-known author Jiang Bei's sci-fi romance novel Fortress in Magic City, which has a large following among young audiences. With the fan base of the original work and the addition of popular stars, this film is almost guaranteed to succeed, the subordinate confidently informed the boss. Compared to The Wandering Earth, the recognition of Fortress in Magic City is undoubtedly higher. Moreover, author Jiang Bei has been famous for many years and has a loyal fan base among the youth. In contrast, while Liu Lang gained temporary fame with his award-winning short films, the fan base from just 2 short sci-fi films is bound to be casual viewers. Once the major production with big stars premieres, Liu Lang's hardcore sci-fi film is destined to be overshadowed. As an industry veteran who has navigated the film scene for many years, Wei Jun clearly understands how to meet the audience's demands. Romantic comedies featuring popular stars and seasoned actors guarantee box office success. A major production can be completed in just a few months. This approach can satisfy a broad audience's viewing needs, and importantly, this model is replicable. Wei Jun has publicly praised this unique industrialized film production style multiple times. Each combination like this consistently yields impressive box office returns. With such cost-effective, quickly produced, and exemplary large-scale projects, there is no need to take the risk of exploring other niche genres, especially those with high production costs and uncertain returns like sci-fi films. The ongoing online discussions have also impacted Dong Yinling, the strategic director of the entertainment company. The announcement of the film project they are collaborating on sparked heated debates online, which should have been a good thing, but Dong Yinling did not feel pleased. Almost everyone is questioning Liu Lang's The Wandering Earth, from ordinary passersby to Liu Lang's fans. From readers of science fiction magazines to industry professionals, the vast majority hold a pessimistic attitude. This has shaken the confidence of Dong Yinling. who has always believed that data doesn't lie and that data speaks for everything. Mr. Liu, I think betting the film on a hard sci-fi novel like The Wandering Earth is somewhat too risky. Dong Yinling thoughtfully chose her words and gently advised Lu Lang over the phone. Recently, I received some insider news that there are rumors of a collaboration between a major company and a certain production house to create a sci-fi romance film. I don't deny that there is a market for sci-fi, or else they wouldn't have started moving so quickly. But I feel that the audience's acceptance of sci-fi in our country isn't that high yet. Over the past decade, aside from foreign sci-fi films, the highest-grossing films domestically are almost all romantic comedies. Perhaps the script for The Wandering Earth could use some refining, like adding some romance and comedy elements. Dong Yinling sincerely suggested to Lu Lang. Byte Entertainment is only responsible for the distribution of the live-action film The Wandering Earth and hasn't invested much money into it. Even if it ends up losing a lot, it won't drag me down too much. If it were another director, I wouldn't have the time to care about their fate. But I really don't want to see the sci-fi star I've discovered face a disastrous debut on the big screen. The major players in the film industry have a keen sense for production. Byte Entertainment has just entered the film industry and is still finding its footing. Although Dong Yinling is confident that they will surpass certain established giants in the future, it doesn't mean she will overlook the judgment of these long-standing industry leaders. Strategically underestimate the enemy, but tactically respect them. Dong Yinling believes that the sci-fi romance film produced by the major company and the production house is likely to align with the market trends in our country. Sci-fi romance. Lu Lang was momentarily taken aback, but quickly shook his head firmly when he heard the suggestion to modify the script. The elements of romance and comedy are already included. I've been preparing this script for a long time, and I believe it's the most suitable one. The reason Lu Lang spent so much time raising funds was to maintain control over the production of The Wandering Earth. The script he had been preparing for so long was the perfect one, and he would never change it based on someone else's fleeting words. He was fully confident in The Wandering Earth, and after bearing all the film's costs, there was no need to cater to others' opinions. After hanging up the phone, Lu Lang didn't pay much attention to the potential competitor, the sci-fi romance film that was still in the works. Instead, his focus was once again drawn back to the company. Since the last incident at the equipment manufacturing plant, Lu Nian felt for the first time that her brother Lu Lang needed professional security around him. As technology companies expand their business scale, the sales of therapeutic-type powered exoskeletons have surged. Lu Lang is no longer just a recent graduate from film school. He has become a billionaire tech company owner. Despite the satisfactory resolution of the last encirclement incident, Lu Nian no longer wishes to see such events occur. Therefore, she consulted a professional security company and hired a group of specialized security personnel to act as bodyguards for Lu Lang. Brother, these are all professional security consultants. Elite veterans from the military. I've investigated them, and they are absolutely reliable. Lu Nian whispered mysteriously to her brother. Lu Nian, who studied financial management. Didn't he fully understand these matters? Her so-called investigation was merely a casual consultation with Shirley from the security bureau, whom she had met once. Even the security company was recommended by Shirley. Looking at the tough-looking, muscular bodyguards in front of him, Lu Lang felt that his sister was overreacting. Was it really necessary to hire so many bodyguards in the Dragon Country? Just as he was about to decline, his gaze swept over the bodyguards and landed on a somewhat familiar figure. Hey, aren't you the delivery guy who brought me takeout? Lu Lang asked. The delivery guy among the bodyguards looked a bit awkward. Boss, you have a great memory. I've even cut my hair short. And you still remember me? The records showed that this delivery guy had worked as a food delivery person and a taxi driver after retiring from the military. And he had only recently joined the security company. Unable to resist her insistence, Lu Lang eventually agreed, but he only selected the delivery guy as his personal bodyguard. There was no particular reason. He just found him friendly. Chapter 45. Hugo Award nomination in the agreement signed by Lu Nian and the security company. There would be a security team of up to 20 people taking turns to ensure the safety of the siblings, and their parents far away in Ning City would also have security personnel discreetly protecting them, just as Lu Lang was getting used to having bodyguards around him. A piece of news from Byte Entertainment once again captured his attention. Mr. Lu, congratulations. Your work The Wandering Earth has been nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Short Story. The person calling to deliver the good news was Dong Yinling, the strategic director at Byte Entertainment. Oh, that's great. Upon hearing Lu Lang's response, Dong Yinling, who was suppressing her joy and trying to speak calmly, was momentarily taken aback. This is the Hugo Award, known as the Nobel Prize of Science Fiction Literature. And alongside the Starlight Award, it is celebrated as the twin stars of science fiction. Lu Lang now had the potential to win both awards simultaneously, which would be a supreme honor for any science fiction writer or director. However, the only response from Lu Lang was a nonchalant "Oh, that's great. Mr. Lu, that's the Hugo Award." Dong Yinling suppressed her desire to elaborate on the Hugo Award. She knew very well that Lu Lang, a director who admired science fiction films. Couldn't he possibly be unaware of the Hugo Award? Yet, his calm demeanor truly caught her off guard. If you win the Hugo Award, you would be the only creator in the world to have simultaneously won both the Hugo and Nebula Awards. He will undoubtedly be the leading figure in the realm of science fiction in the Dragon Kingdom, and even unique on a global scale. This will serve as the best rebuttal to those who doubt you. In fact, as the strategic director of Byte Entertainment, who has always supported Lu Lang, Dong Yinling has recently felt considerable pressure. Despite facing opposition, she secured the exclusive broadcasting rights for Moonfall Crisis, Coordinated Relationships, and utilized resources to promote Lu Lang as the foremost figure in Dragon Kingdom science fiction. These actions have not only elevated Lu Lang's popularity, but also sparked significant controversy. How can a recent graduate from a film directing program, who has only produced 2 science fiction short films totaling less than 30 minutes, be hailed as the leading figure in Dragon Kingdom science fiction simply because he won an award for Best Short Film? Many see this as a title that does not match reality. Creators must let their work speak for themselves, and it is challenging for Lu Lang, with only 2 short films, to convince the countless netizens online. As someone who strongly advocates for Lu Lang and sees him as a future star of Byte Entertainment, Dong Yinling is, in a sense, linked to him. Although they are not at the stage of sharing both glory and misfortune, when Lu Lang's reputation is questioned by netizens, Dong Yinling inevitably bears some pressure as well. Conversely, if Lu Lang achieves success, she will also be entitled to share in that recognition. Currently, if we consider who, apart from his family, wishes for Lu Lang's success the most, Dong Yinling would undoubtedly rank among the top. Well, I know, but isn't it just a nomination? Lu Lang is not surprised that The Wandering Earth received a nomination for the Hugo Award. After all, it is the most commercially successful film adaptation of the original work by Electrician Lu. The concept of building 10,000 planetary engines to carry Earth on a journey is enough to deeply resonate with people's souls. This unique romanticism found in Dragon Kingdom science fiction is undoubtedly refreshing for foreign readers still immersed in themes like fleet battles, laser cannons, and giant alien creatures. However, when it comes to whether The Wandering Earth has a chance to win the Hugo Award for Best Short Story, Lu Lang does not feel confident. This is because the previous winner of the Hugo Award for Best Novel was another grand masterpiece by Electrician Lu, The Three-Body Problem. Compared to the depth of worldview presented in The Three-Body Problem, including the dark forest theory, water droplets, two-dimensional foil, and various thought-provoking ideas, The Wandering Earth, with its mere 25,000 words, cannot be compared. The core of The Wandering Earth represents a tragic journey where humanity faces crises together, overcoming challenges at all costs to continue human civilization. This core value stands in stark contrast to the liberal ideals instilled in many foreigners from a young age. While they may be awed by the grand imagination in The Wandering Earth, it is likely difficult for them to resonate with the tragic journey undertaken by all humanity for the sake of civilization's survival. This is also the point where Lu Lang feels the least confident about The Wandering Earth winning the Hugo Award. Just being nominated for the Hugo is already impressive. It's important to note that before this, you were just a director. Even the nomination alone is enough to prove your strength in science fiction literature. Moreover, there is still a possibility of ultimately winning. Dong Yinling couldn't stand Lu Lang's laid-back attitude, and she decided to fight for The Wandering Earth. Mr. Lu, you need to prepare. You can't miss this award ceremony like you did last time. This time, Byte Entertainment will fully promote the Hugo Awards ceremony. I've also contacted Lu Zitao, and he will accompany us to the event. With just a few words, Dong Yinling once again displayed her decisive attitude as the strategic director of Byte Entertainment. In fact, there is no need for that. Old Lu can go instead of me. I haven't even applied for my passport yet. Lu Lang wasn't particularly enthusiastic about this merely nominated award, being somewhat socially anxious. He felt awkward about being in the same room with a large group of unfamiliar foreigners. At this point, Dong Yinling was really about to lose her cool. Come on. That's the highest honor in the world of science fiction literature, the Hugo Award. Those internet celebrities and popular stars at home would go to any lengths to get on the red carpet of foreign film awards, just to appear in front of the world's media for a second or two. And here you are, a formally nominated potential winner. Actually wanting to find an excuse not to go? I'll take care of the passport issue. If communication is needed, Lu Zitao can act as a translator. Just keep calm and smile during interviews. I'll handle everything else. Under Dong Yinling's persuasion, Lu Lang could only agree reluctantly. Boss, are we going far? I need to report to the security center. Delivery guy Wei Wu looked at Lu Lang in surprise as he pushed a suitcase out of the office. Yeah, going abroad for an award ceremony. Upon hearing the word abroad, Wei Wu's pupils constricted. Calling Wolf Fortress, the golden monkey is ready to go. Wolf Fortress received. What is the destination? Netherlands. Hunan. Yes, Netherlands, Amsterdam. Chapter 46. Livestream incident? Upon hearing this news, the newly established security center fell into silence. They hadn't yet developed a comprehensive plan to respond to Lu Lang's trip abroad. Once he leaves the country, various unforeseen situations could arise. Simple, just hold up his passport processing so he can't go, suggested a special agent from the security bureau. Lu Lang's passport is handled by professionals from bike company, and without a convincing reason to prevent him from leaving, it might lead him to think that he is being targeted by relevant departments. The approach of holding up the passport was quickly dismissed. The security bureau's protection of Lu Lang was more about being cautious and did not imply that he was facing any threats. If Lu Lang's actions are forcibly restricted, it will inevitably escalate the situation and increase the potential threats he faces. As for making things clear to the entertainment company, that is even less likely to happen. In the eyes of the entertainment company, Lu Lang is just a director and writer. If they are informed that he is under the surveillance and protection of security agencies with travel restrictions, it would be tantamount to revealing the unusual aspects of Lu Lang's identity to them. What news does the risk assessment team have? There are no abnormalities domestically, and our contacts abroad have no information regarding Lu Lang. Those individuals are still focused on the usual concerns: fifth-generation aircraft, aircraft carriers, and hypersonic ballistic missiles. All information about Lu Lang from abroad comes solely from his status as a Starlight Award winner. Specific core technology information related to Lu Lang has already been cleaned up online in conjunction with the Cyber Police Department as part of the Internet cleansing campaign. The associated risk assessment level is extremely low. Upon hearing the internal professional risk assessment predictions from the security agency, Shirley finally felt relieved. The reason the risk level can be so low is that Lu Lang's public identity is too deceptive. Who would think that a popular online science fiction director and novelist is secretly a developer of multiple cutting-edge technologies? Even if such information were to leak, those abroad would be taken aback. The drone technology is covered by a certain company, while the neuron technology related to therapeutic-type armored exoskeletons can only be truly understood by witnessing the blueprints and Lu Lang's explanations at a specific research institute. To foreign individuals, Lu Lang is merely a harmless science fiction film director. As for the claims of him being a drone tycoon or a steel man from his home country, most foreign individuals scoff at that. Everyone believes that if Lu Lang were truly as impressive as his fans claim, he would have gone directly to a scientific academy instead of being a director, which is far less promising. Alright, do not overreact. Activate the normal security protocol. Contact the embassy abroad for support. The situation is not as complicated as you think. The head of the security agency, Shirley, ultimately issued the action order. Amsterdam, Netherlands. There is a 7-hour time difference from Lu Lang's home country. When Lu Lang and others arrived on a chartered flight from the entertainment group at noon, most areas back home were still in the early dawn. Science fiction master Lu Lang's new work, The Wandering Earth, has been nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Short Story and is expected to become the first creator to simultaneously receive both the Starlight Award and the Hugo Award. The Hugo Award and the Nebula Award are two major honors that are considered the Nobel Prize of science fiction literature. A certain social media platform will live stream the Hugo Award ceremony, inviting many authoritative guests from the science fiction community to analyze the potential for The Wandering Earth to win. It is reported that the largest legal betting institution on a certain island has set the odds for The Wandering Earth winning at second to last. And industry insiders are not optimistic. Before departing, Dong Yinling ordered her team to initiate the promotional activities for The Wandering Earth, including a live broadcast of the awards ceremony on the official platform, inviting industry professionals to participate in analysis and debate sessions, and increasing the awareness and promotion of sci-fi awards and works among netizens. The official promotional campaign made a significant impact, bringing Lu Lang back into the public eye. This time, Lu Lang was no longer just the leading figure in domestic sci-fi. He was being promoted as a sci-fi master. Should he ultimately achieve his wish at the awards ceremony, this sci-fi master would naturally be recognized as a world-class master in the genre. Although it remains uncertain whether The Wandering Earth will win the Hugo Award, Dong Yinling, who oversees the entertainment division, would certainly not let this opportunity slip away. Even if The Wandering Earth does not win, Lu Lang would still be recorded in history as the first writer from his country to be nominated for the Hugo Award. In the official studio, the live broadcast of the entertainment division's trip to the Netherlands was underway. The studio also invited 2 guests to analyze and explain the event to the audience. The host mentioned the significance of the Hugo Award to sci-fi fans worldwide, noting that the audience might not be fully aware of it, but she believed the editor-in-chief should be well informed. The host directed the conversation to the invited guest, the editor-in-chief of the domestic sci-fi magazine. The other guest was a popular variety show star, invited due to his publicly declared persona as a sci-fi enthusiast. The editor-in-chief expressed his disbelief that a sci-fi award of such prestige could ever be won by someone from his country. Reflecting on the struggles of domestic sci-fi over the years, he recalled that 5 years ago, when presenting their own sci-fi works for the Hugo Award selections. Very few had even heard of domestic sci-fi, often mistaking them for representatives from another country. After sharing his thoughts, the host turned to the Variety star for his impressions. He mentioned that some of the most impactful sci-fi works for him included Dune, 2001, A Space Odyssey, and H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. He felt that domestic sci-fi literature still had a long way to go compared to these international masterpieces, and criticized The Wandering Earth for promoting collectivism, which he believed did not align with the mainstream values of freedom. If he were a judge, he would not vote for it. Upon hearing this, the host's expression froze. This was not what had been agreed upon before the broadcast. Wasn't the plan to rally support for The Wandering Earth and encourage the audience to back Lu Lang? The beautiful host's pleading gaze kept darting towards the producer behind the live camera, while the guest, Chief Editor Wei, looked utterly confused, still unaware of what was happening. Only the Variety star Yu appeared to have a slight smirk at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 47. A Protective Charm. It seems Yu is right. The Wandering Earth indeed has some gaps compared to foreign sci-fi works. I studied high school abroad, and that's how they are. They value freedom. The Wandering Earth probably won't appeal to them. Sigh. I initially thought The Wandering Earth had some chances for awards, so I got up early. But now I wish I had just slept in longer. Listening to Yu's seemingly sensible analysis, the viewers in the live stream gradually lost hope. Damn it. This bastard set me up. Dong Yinling, the strategic director of a major entertainment firm, was now glaring darkly at the sci-fi fan Yu, who had been invited to the studio. His intention was to bring in this Variety star to guide the atmosphere of the live stream, hoping to generate goodwill among online viewers for The Wandering Earth, thereby achieving their strategic goals and solidifying Lu Lang's status as a sci-fi master. To this end, they had extended an olive branch to Yu, planning to make him a permanent guest on an upcoming variety show. Both sides had verbally agreed. But once Yu started speaking in the live stream, the director knew he had been played. The other party had no intention of cooperating. The director's assistant reported, "We found out that someone from the competing company just finalized a deal with you yesterday. He will host a variety show next month." Hearing this made the director's expression darken further. It was now clear that Yu had sold out to the competition. Having long been entrenched in the entertainment circle, the competition could offer far more attractive resources than the emerging firm. Naturally, Yu had chosen to abandon their goodwill. The director hadn't anticipated the competition's tactics would be so ruthless. Currently, the live stream was ongoing, and despite it being early morning, over 10 million viewers were drawn in. There was no way to interrupt the broadcast, and Yu was clearly an agent provocateur sent by the competition. Continuing the live stream like this could lead to an irreparable incident. "Give me the mic. Let the host follow my orders." The director ultimately hesitated to cut the live stream and could only remotely instruct the beautiful host, trying to regain control of the situation. "Change the topic. Don't give you a chance to seize the moment." Upon hearing the director's words, the host finally felt a little more settled. Steadying herself, she shifted the topic to the footage of Lu Lang and his team exiting the cabin. "Viewers, you can see that the standards for this award ceremony set by the entertainment firm are quite high. Ms. Dong Yinling, the strategic director, is personally leading the team, along with Mr. Lu Zitao, the original literature director, and Mr. Lu Lang, the author of The Wandering Earth. Oh, we can see that a convoy has arrived at the airport to welcome the guests. According to information from the staff ahead, we learned that the welcoming convoy is actually from the embassy of a certain country in the Netherlands. It seems that the officials are taking this Hugo Award ceremony quite seriously." The beautiful host excitedly introduced the live broadcast on the big screen, showing a row of several black, solemn armored vehicles waiting by the airport runway, with the leading greeter being the ambassador himself. Wow, is the Wandering Earth really that important? The ambassador is personally here to greet them? Impressive. This kind of treatment is probably only reserved for international superstars like Jackie Chan or Jet Li, right? How come someone like Lu Lang, who is just filming a small video, gets the same? Is the Hugo Award really that prestigious? It seems I underestimated it. The audience in the live stream became lively upon hearing the beautiful host's introduction. Lu Lang, who appeared on screen, was not much older than the viewers. And in fact, he was even younger, yet he was enjoying the privilege of being greeted by the ambassador in person, which made the audience genuinely emotional. No matter how much the officials valued it, the Hugo Award wouldn't be awarded to The Wandering Earth just because of their attention. Whether it can win depends on the strength of the work itself. However, at that moment, an out-of-place voice rang out in the live stream. A certain individual sarcastically chimed in. "Indeed, what this guy said makes some sense. The officials seem to care a lot about the national football team too, right? Just look at how they are performing now. By the way, how good is The Wandering Earth? I thought it was pretty good after watching it. But I wonder how it compares to those foreign sci-fi novels." The Hugo Award is famously a third-party award that emphasizes professionalism and fairness, never influenced by political factors. There are only a few hours left until the award ceremony. We'll see what comes out of it then. The beautiful host tried to guide the atmosphere in the live stream for a long time, and finally reignited the audience's hope for the wandering Earth. However, the sarcastic remarks quickly led the audience astray. The official support suddenly became a negative connotation. This made the beautiful host and the behind-the-scenes staff wish they could just sew the sarcastic individual's mouth shut on the spot. "Mr. Ambassador, I didn't expect you to come in person. It's truly a hassle for you." The leading team member, Dong Yinling, felt quite flattered upon seeing the ambassador personally come to greet them. An ambassador represents the dignity of a country, and the fact that the other party could personally come to receive them demonstrated the officials' importance placed on their group and the Hugo Award. This made Dong Yinling, Liu Zitao, and others feel deeply moved, and it heightened their sense of responsibility for the award ceremony today. If they couldn't achieve any recognition at the ceremony, it would be quite disappointing given the officials' attention. So this is Lu Lang? The young man not only has a handsome appearance, but has also achieved so much at such a young age. The future is promising. Come, let us ride in the same vehicle. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Dong Yinling, the ambassador quickly got to the point and warmly invited Lu Lang to share a car. Lu Lang was bewildered as he was pulled into the car by the ambassador, leaving behind the envious Dong Yinling and Liu Zitao. What kind of treatment is this? Even leaders of small countries don't get this. It's pure envy and jealousy. I've worked hard in North Africa for 20 years, with assets worth hundreds of millions, and when I invited the ambassador there for a meal, he didn't even bother to show up. Brothers, this is a signal. The authorities might be preparing to strongly support sci-fi-themed cultural and entertainment works in the future. It just doesn't make sense otherwise. The accompanying staff from Byte Entertainment continued to livestream with official approval. When the footage returned to the domestic live broadcast studio, it immediately caused a stir among netizens. The ambassador's friendly demeanor and his warm invitation for Lu Lang to share a car made countless people exclaim that Lu Lang was incredibly lucky. This represented the official recognition and attention towards Lu Lang, which, in a sense, served as a protective charm for him. Chapter 48. Copyright fees for the Wandering Earth. After nearly an hour's drive, the convoy finally arrived at the destination, the Nemo Science Center, just 2 kilometers from the Amsterdam Royal Palace. This year, the World Science Fiction Association chose this location for the Hugo Awards ceremony. Upon arriving at the Science Center, the ambassador did not choose to enter with Lu Lang and the others. The Hugo Awards have always maintained a neutral stance regarding political figures. So after exchanging a few pleasantries, the ambassador left first, leaving behind a few bulletproof vehicles and some military attachés. There was still some time before the official start of the award ceremony, but many invited dignitaries had already gathered inside the Science Center. In the studio of the livestream, as Lu Lang and his group entered the Science Center, the female host began to engage the audience in conversation. We can see that many cultural figures from various fields in Europe and America are present at the award ceremony, not limited to just the literary domain. Editor Wei, could you enlighten our viewers in the livestream about this? This is the impressive aspect of the Hugo Awards. Its influence is not confined to just science fiction. It has a significant impact on fantasy and film literature as well. Every year, it attracts cultural circles from Europe and America to witness the event. However, due to the overwhelming dominance of English-speaking science fiction writers from countries such as the UK, US, Canada, and Australia in the global science fiction community, submitted works must be translated into English. In some ways, this constitutes a substantial discrimination against science fiction works from non-English-speaking countries, and so far, only a few Asian science fiction authors have received this award. Editor Wei looked worriedly at the livestream, noticing that Lu Lang and his group were among the few Asian faces in the venue. As an annual grand event in the science fiction literary circle, almost all prominent science fiction creators from Europe and America use the award ceremony as a channel for exchange. While many may not be familiar with these individuals, their works are likely to resonate deeply with audiences. Just now, the producer of the popular sci-fi drama The Expanse walked past the screen. The group of people in front to the right is the production team of The Martian. The bearded man next to the blonde beauty at the 11 o'clock position is George Martin, the author of A Song of Ice and Fire. The group in front of the bar seems to be the screenwriting team for the Avengers series. Wow, the director and screenwriter Christopher Nolan of Inception is also here. His films Interstellar and the Batman series are well known to everyone. Under the introduction of the editor-in-chief, the audience in the live broadcast gained a general understanding of the many cultural figures from the Western world present in this science center. The foreign names and faces might confuse them a bit, but once the works of these individuals are mentioned, the netizens suddenly realize. A Song of Ice and Fire, Inception, Interstellar, The Martian, and the Avengers series are all well known to the audience from the Dragon Country. Wow, I've been following Game of Thrones. Didn't he expect the original author to be this bearded guy? Christopher Nolan, you are my hero. I love Interstellar and The Martian. I hope in my lifetime I can see the Dragon Country produce such works. It's a bit strange. Isn't the Hugo Award focused on sci-fi literature? Why are there so many big names from the Western sci-fi film and television industry here? As the start time of the award ceremony approaches, the number of online viewers in the live broadcast increases, quickly surpassing 30 million. Many viewers also noticed that many cultural figures from the Western world appearing at this Hugo Awards ceremony come from the film and television industry. Questions about this began to flood the live chat, prompting the beautiful host to throw the question back to the editor-in-chief. This is quite normal. Creators of sci-fi novels do not rely solely on book sales for income. The rights trading for film adaptations of novels is also a significant aspect. As one of the world's top sci-fi literary awards, the Hugo Award attracts not only sci-fi authors, but also many investors, directors, and producers from the film and television industry. Once nominated or awarded the Hugo, the IP value of these authors' novels can skyrocket. A large number of investors, directors, and producers from the Western film and television industry gather here for the rights to adapt these sci-fi literary works. Many popular sci-fi films and dramas are adapted onto the screen this way. As a professional in the field of sci-fi literature from the Dragon Country, the editor-in-chief envies the process of adapting literary awards into film IPs in the West. Professional film adaptations of sci-fi literary works not only provide substantial financial returns for the authors, but also allow these works to spread their influence more widely across the globe. In this way, a positive cycle can be formed, leading to an increasing number of exciting science fiction literary works and films being continuously created. While the editor-in-chief was still introducing the topic in the live broadcast, Lu Lang and his team finally received some proactive interaction from others. A group of individuals with similar Asian features approached to chat. Dear viewers, I have received a response from the frontline staff. The company that has reached out to our team is a certain investment firm specializing in film and television IP. The host's tone was very upbeat, noting that someone was interested in acquiring the rights for the project, which indirectly confirmed its commercial value. However, the proposal to acquire the rights seemed like an attempt to take advantage of the situation. I suspect the offer would be quite low. Just a way to cast a wide net in hopes of snagging a good deal, said Yu Dada, who had been silent for a long time. In fact, as Yu Dada guessed, the offer from the investment firm was only a mere 100,000, which was firmly rejected by Dong Yinling and others. Lu Lang and his team had never considered selling the rights to the project, and the offered amount felt somewhat insulting. It's worth noting that their charter flight costs far exceeded 100,000. Once the nominated Best Short Story wins an award, the value of the rights would soar tenfold or more, just as the audience in the live broadcast was getting excited. Speculating on how much the rights for the novel could be worth, the Hugo Awards ceremony finally began. Chapter 49. Mr. Liu, Nolan thinks you're amazing. Best Dramatic Presentation. Best Art Book. Best Professional Magazine. Like other top literary awards in the world, the Hugo Awards also have distinctions in the weight of the specific awards presented. The first to be announced were some less influential, merely honorary awards aimed at professionals. The most prestigious awards related to science fiction literature are the Best Novel, Novella, and Short Story categories. Mr. Liu, it's almost time for Best Short Story. Are you nervous? Lu Zitao asked Lu Lang, who was focused on the awards podium. Not really. Watching Lu Zitao, who was excited and flushed, even trembling slightly, Lu Lang felt that he was far more enthusiastic than himself. Lu Lang wasn't paying much attention to the podium because, firstly, his English wasn't that good, and he couldn't understand the accented speeches of the foreign presenters. Secondly, regardless of whether The Wandering Earth won an award, the film production was already in the planning stages. Rather than worrying about winning, Lu Lang was more concerned about whether he could successfully invite the planned actors to participate. Just as Lu Lang was pondering how to persuade those big-name stars to join, Dong Yinling and Lu Zitao suddenly stood up excitedly. The applause from the surrounding crowd engulfed him in an instant. Still in a daze, Lu Lang was pulled up by Lu Zitao, who immediately gave him a big bear hug. Teacher Lu, we did it. The deafening cheers of Lu Zitao echoed in his ears. Beside them, Dong Yinling, usually calm and composed, was also overwhelmed with emotion, covering her mouth in tears as the atmosphere intensified. Turning to look at the big screen on the award stage, he saw his slightly bewildered yet handsome face displayed prominently, with a striking line of English letters occupying the center of the screen. The Wandering Earth. Wow, we really won an award. It was worth the 2-hour wait. Amazing. A dual award winner of the Starlight Award and the Hugo Award. This should be the first in Asia, right? Not just the first in Asia, it's unique in the world. Haha, Lu Lang looks a bit confused. He probably didn't expect to win, right? Damn, what a loss. If I had known that betting on the Wandering Earth would win, the odds were over 20 times. Didn't that big shot say it had no chance of winning? TSK, talk about a slap in the face. Lu Lang is truly talented and handsome. No matter how much the haters try to discredit him, they can't stop his success. Unlike the last Starlight Award, This time, ByteDance Entertainment live-streamed the Hugo Award ceremony in its entirety. Over 30 million people in the country witnessed The Wandering Earth winning the Hugo Award for Best Novelette Online. The live chat room instantly erupted in excitement, resembling a festive celebration. The barrage of comments flooded in like a tsunami, with the beautiful host jumping up in excitement, while the editor-in-chief of a sci-fi magazine beside her was so emotional that he couldn't help but shed tears. Countless viewers watched as The Wandering Earth broke through the competition from numerous foreign works and clinched the award in a sci-fi category established by foreigners. This gave many online viewers a sense of participation, as if their support contributed to The Wandering Earth's success. Only the previously mentioned big shot seemed to struggle to accept The Wandering Earth's victory, still muttering under his breath that it was just a Best Novelette award, implying that its significance was not as high as that of the Best Novel award, claiming the credibility of the Hugo Award had diminished. However, the excited online audience couldn't stand his negative comments, and the barrage of comments began to criticize his snarky remarks. Thank you for creating such a grand and imaginative sci-fi novelette. Elements like planet engines, space elevators, and taking the Earth on a journey have allowed us to experience the wonder and romance of sci-fi from our country for the first time. The one presenting the award to Liu Lang was none other than the world-renowned sci-fi director Christopher Nolan, whom he had seen earlier in the lobby. With a smile, Nolan praised Liu Lang's The Wandering Earth. Hearing such compliments from a world-famous director known for films like Inception, Interstellar, and The Prestige was overwhelming for Liu Lang. While Liu Zitao, who was acting as the translator, was already trembling with excitement. Teacher Liu, Nolan said, "You're amazing," Liu Zitao said, struggling to find words in his excitement. Liu Lang replied, "I managed to pass the University English Level 4 exam, so I can understand a bit. Don't you think your translation is a bit too brief?" "No big deal. Teacher Liu, it's your turn to give your acceptance speech." Liu Lang and Liu Zitao have known each other for a long time and can understand each other's excitement as seasoned sci-fi fans. After gathering his emotions for a moment, Liu Lang began to formally deliver his acceptance speech. He expressed gratitude to the organizing committee for their support and to the readers for their recognition of domestic sci-fi. He mentioned that this is a small step for world sci-fi, but a significant leap for domestic sci-fi. Ahem. Teacher Liu, you already said this part when I accepted the award on your behalf at the Starlight Awards. Can you say something else? Liu Zitao quietly reminded him from the side. After finishing a speech promoting domestic sci-fi, Liu Lang and the others stepped down from the podium amid thunderous applause. Next were the awards for Best Novelette and Best Novel. It wasn't too long before the entire award ceremony came to an end. However, the conclusion of the award ceremony did not signify the end of the award gala. Liu Lang and his group were invited to a dinner that followed. Unlike the initial cold reception, after The Wandering Earth won Best Novelette, many foreign guests with blonde hair and blue eyes came over to chat and connect with Liu Lang and his companions. The dinner itself wasn't the main focus. Rather, it was the prominent figures from the Western film and television industry attending the dinner. Just after Dong Yinling finished speaking with Liu Lang and Liu Zitao, she noticed an elegantly dressed elderly gentleman with gray hair, surrounded by a crowd, approaching them. Through conversation, they learned that he was a representative from a well-known Hollywood studio and was interested in discussing the film adaptation rights for The Wandering Earth. $6 million. As one of the oldest giants in Hollywood, the offer from this studio was hard to refuse, scaring off other potential buyers interested in the film rights for The Wandering Earth at the dinner. Before Liu Lang and the others could respond, netizens watching the live broadcast from afar were already buzzing with excitement. Wow, $6 million. That's over 40 million in local currency. I just searched, and no sci-fi film in domestic history has ever reached a box office of 40 million. Brothers. A novel of over 20,000 words for over 40 million in local currency. That's about 1,700 per word. Truly a case of a word being worth 1,000 gold. I'm inspired. I want to write a sci-fi novel too. Chapter 50. Paramount scheme. As millions of domestic netizens in the live chat were shocked by the offer from the Hollywood studio, Dong Yinling and Liu Zitao at the venue were equally taken aback. Being industry professionals, they had estimated the film rights for The Wandering Earth to be around $1 million, especially after it had won the Hugo Award for Best Novelette. The offer from the studio was already at the top tier of Hollywood adaptation deals. Above that, only blockbuster series like The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter would likely surpass it. Dong Yinling does not believe that these established giants in the film industry would be foolish enough to casually spend $6 million to acquire the film rights to a short science fiction novel by an author from a certain country. Could you share why your side decided to spend $6 million to acquire the film rights to The Wandering Earth? It's quite simple. We at Paramount are considering including The Wandering Earth in our next phase of major productions. If all goes well, it will be directed by a renowned filmmaker. By the way, it's worth mentioning that this filmmaker strongly recommended The Wandering Earth to the company, which, in a sense, has increased our valuation of the project. A representative from Paramount openly stated the reasons, and in the crowd behind, the famed director soon made his appearance. Mr. Liu, I am very interested in the worldview and humanistic spirit you constructed in The Wandering Earth. I would personally love to direct it and present it to the world in film form. The director approached Liu Lang, shook hands amicably, and sincerely explained his reasons. Having directed acclaimed films like Inception and Interstellar, he certainly has a keen sense for science fiction. The various elements revealed in the Wandering Earth novel are quite different from the decades-old Western science fiction framework, which made him eager to adapt it into a film. At this point, Dong Yinling and Lu Zitao finally understood. It turned out that Paramount was willing to invest heavily to acquire the rights to the Wandering Earth to attract the director for further collaboration. Given the caliber of this world-class filmmaker, he is certainly deserving of a $6 million film adaptation script. With the director on board and Paramount providing the funding, combined with the traditional marketing advantages and professional capabilities of Hollywood giants, The Wandering Earth is very likely to replicate the success of Inception and Interstellar, achieving both global box office success and high-quality acclaim. Can you believe The Wandering Earth caught the attention of this director? Wow. There is hope for science fiction from that country. Do the critics still dare to speak? Who called The Wandering Earth a garbage novel? The world-renowned director is interested in adapting it. Can it really be garbage? Sounds good, but it's a bit strange. Why did the Paramount representative publicly announce the bid? Aren't they worried about competition? In the live broadcast, many viewers were puzzled by Paramount's high-profile bid. Normally, such copyright negotiations are conducted privately, rarely in such an open manner. This is a strategic move by Paramount. As a guest, the editor thought for a moment and quickly began to analyze and explain to the viewers. With a price tag of $6 million, not to mention the buyers present, likely only a few Hollywood giants globally could compete. However, such a big-budget commercial sci-fi production places high demands on the director and production team. There are very few directors worldwide who are capable of handling it well. The renowned sci-fi directors collaborating with other major studios may not be available or interested. Paramount's high offer is just a way to curry favor with a certain top director. If the acquisition is successful, it would be perfect for him to take over, as he is indeed a leading figure in commercial sci-fi films and has the potential to do a great job with the project. If the acquisition fails, it's not a big deal, as this is just a backup plan for Paramount's next big production, and the director would still have reasons to be grateful. The analysis by the editor-in-chief provided a thorough understanding of the interests behind Paramount's high-profile bid. Many viewers in the live stream suddenly realized that no matter the outcome, Paramount would not lose out. One person earnestly requests that the director take on the project. They just want to see a world-class sci-fi movie from their country in their lifetime, even if it's a local script produced by a Hollywood team. To be honest, I was looking forward to the original director, but it's a different story with a certain renowned director. A dream team of a world-class sci-fi director and a major studio is likely the best way to go for the project. Don't worry, no one would refuse such an offer. If I were the director and heard that a top director was willing to direct my novel, plus I would get a substantial amount of money, I'd have to be crazy to turn it down. Selling the rights is a guaranteed win. Viewers were eager to help the director agree on the spot, and even the professional guests in the live stream, including the editor-in-chief, nodded in agreement at these comments. Despite being a professional in the local sci-fi entertainment industry, the editor-in-chief secretly hoped that the local film industry could produce a truly world-class sci-fi blockbuster of its own. However, the current state of the local film industry made him feel that this idea was unrealistic. Rather than wasting the potential of this promising novel IP, it might be better to let a more professional Hollywood team take over, which could be the best outcome for local sci-fi. Well, handing it over to Hollywood isn't entirely safe either. I'm just afraid of some politically correct characters being cast as the leads. I'm getting sick of political correctness in sci-fi films. The person above is still too young. Do you really think a local director could produce something good? I can already predict the plot. A bunch of popular stars falling in love while saving the Earth, mixed with some cringeworthy jokes for comedic effect, and ultimately, the main characters making a noble sacrifice to create some tragic elements and elevate the theme. Wow, you really understand local cinema. The viewers in the live stream continued to discuss the future plot of the movie. Meanwhile, upon hearing the translation from his assistant, the director immediately and clearly expressed his rejection of the acquisition offer from Paramount. Chapter 51. They said it can't be done, so it really can't be done? The film adaptation of The Wandering Earth is already in progress and will not be sold externally. Upon hearing Lu Zitao translate this statement, the representatives from Paramount Pictures, including Christopher Nolan, were taken aback. Has someone else gotten to it first? Which company is it? Sony, Universal, or Warner Brothers? The representative from Paramount, an older man, frowned and asked. In his view, perhaps only a few other Hollywood giants have the capability and funding to produce a large-scale industrial sci-fi film like The Wandering Earth. It's none of those, it's me. Liu Lang replied earnestly. Hearing this, The expressions of the Paramount team became even more puzzled. They had never heard of any sci-fi films from the Dragon Country. In fact, it was more than that. As a Hollywood giant with global blockbuster successes, Paramount had never paid attention to the domestic film scene in the Dragon Country. In their eyes, apart from the artistic and realistic films that could occasionally make a mark at international film awards, the commercial film sector in the Dragon Country was hardly impressive. Every time a major Hollywood production landed in the cinemas of the Dragon Country, it could effortlessly crush all local films released at the same time, if it weren't for the presence of special domestic film protection months. Nearly 90% of the annual box office in the Dragon Country would have been completely raided by Hollywood. Faced with such a weak opponent, the Hollywood giants had no interest in conducting targeted research. They merely viewed the Dragon Country market as a plunderable cash cow. This is why the representatives from Paramount were so bewildered. If you're trying to take this opportunity to raise the price, I regret to inform you that $6 million is Paramount's final offer. No, what I mean is, I will direct The Wandering Earth myself. Liu Lang slowly and earnestly informed the Paramount team before him. The older man raised an eyebrow at Liu Lang's serious demeanor. Young man, let me give you some advice. Industrial sci-fi films are not like romantic comedies. Making one requires the support of a film industrial system. To be blunt, I have been in this industry for over 30 years, and I have never heard of any representative sci-fi work from the Dragon Country. There is an insurmountable gap between a short film that won a Star Award and a mature industrial sci-fi live-action film. You can contact Paramount when you have thought this through. However, by then, The Wandering Earth might not even be worth $6 million anymore. After the older man finished speaking, the Paramount entourage behind him chuckled lightly. No one took Liu Lang's words to heart. It seemed like a dream for a country lagging in the commercial film sector to challenge the production of a mature industrial sci-fi film. Looking at the world, it seemed that only a few Hollywood giants had the strength to do so. Christopher Nolan, upon hearing Liu Lang's words, smiled bitterly. But he was not mocking Liu Lang's overconfidence. Rather, he saw a reflection of his younger self in Liu Lang. Liu, I can understand your feelings. Every director wants to present their script in the most perfect way possible. However, you are facing not only funding issues. The gap in the film industry system cannot be bridged by money in a short time. I can only wish you good luck. Even as a top sci-fi director in the world, sometimes Nolan has to consider the opinions of the Hollywood giants. The resources they have mastered over decades and the industrial system they have formed are essential support for him when making big-budget films. Without the mature industrial film system of Hollywood, classics like Inception and Interstellar would not have been born. As Paramount Pictures and Nolan are parting ways, the audience watching the live stream began to flood the comments section. What's wrong, Liu? We don't even have experience in making sci-fi films. How can we expect to get it right on the first try? It's better to collaborate with Hollywood, learn from their experience, and use their strengths against them. Seriously, I'm amazed. What capital do you have to handle a live-action version of The Wandering Earth besides making 2 animated sci-fi films? Blind confidence will only lead to pathetic arrogance. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'll definitely buy a ticket to see it. And if it flops, I'll be the first to criticize. Many viewers adopted a tough love attitude, questioning Liu. However, at that moment, Liu, who was abroad, was not paying attention to these comments. After the banquet, without any delay, the group took a chartered flight back home. While still on the plane, news of The Wandering Earth winning the Hugo Awards spread rapidly online. More and more people from the region learned about a young man named Liu, who had won both the Hugo Award and the Starlight Award. Moreover, he was preparing to attempt an unprecedented feat in the history of film in the region by creating a live-action sci-fi movie based on his award-winning work, The Wandering Earth. The internet was filled with mixed reviews about Liu. On one hand, people marveled that he was the only creator in the world to win both the Hugo Award and the Starlight Award, and more importantly, he was so young, with a promising future. On the other hand, many considered him overly arrogant for trying to challenge the unique industrial sci-fi filmmaking of Hollywood as a newcomer director. Teacher Liu, you could have avoided these negative comments. Liu Zitao felt immense regret as he looked at the online evaluations of Liu. If Liu had given up on filming The Wandering Earth, these negative comments wouldn't have appeared at all. Someone has to try, right? Just because foreigners say it can't be done, does that mean it really can't? Half a century ago, who would have thought that the region could develop its own nuclear weapons without the help of computers, relying solely on human ingenuity? I believe making this film will not be harder than the situation back then. Listening to Liu Zitao felt a surge of passion within him. He too wanted to see a sci-fi blockbuster that belonged to the people of the region. At this moment, The Wandering Earth seems to have transcended being just a film. It has become a symbol representing a certain spirit. Next to him, Dong Yinling was also moved by this. Initially thinking of relying on science fiction films to compete with other companies in the entertainment industry. However, her perspective was elevated by Liu Lang's insights. After the plane landed, Liu Lang ignored the online buzz and made a phone call. Hey, how's your training in Hongdian going? Whoa, Brother Lang, you finally remembered me, your long-lost brother. Chapter 52. Carbon Nanotubes. Liu Lang's two science fiction short films, combined with his presence on a popular social media platform and his titles as a dual winner of the Starlight Award and the Hugo Award, made him the most talked-about person on the internet in the past month. Lin Hao, who was far away in Hongdian, was of course aware of this. Despite having to rotate among several film crews and working 1,216 hours a day, he never thought of asking Liu Lang for help. He was a person with a strong sense of pride, although he had jokingly agreed with Liu Lang before graduation to not forget each other in times of wealth. It wasn't until Liu Lang reached out that he confirmed he hadn't been forgotten. At Liu Lang's invitation, Lin Hao hurriedly bought a plane ticket to Hainan Island to meet him. When Lin Hao saw the enormous film studio that spanned several dozen square kilometers by the harbor, he was taken aback. Brother Lang, are you serious about this? The news online about Liu Lang's plans to make the Wandering Earth was buzzing. And despite the overwhelming skepticism surrounding him, Lin Hao, who blindly trusted Liu Lang, couldn't help but feel anxious. As a graduate of a film directing program, he naturally understood how challenging it was to shoot an industrial science fiction film. In the global film industry, this was practically exclusive to a certain leading film industry. Of course it's true. Do you think I'm preparing to pull some funding, cast a few popular actors, and shoot a sci-fi romance like Bai Fei? Upon hearing Liu Lang's words, Lin Hao scratched his head. In the past, he would have indeed thought Liu Lang was planning something like that to make a quick profit. However, with Liu Lang now holding the Starlight Award and the Hugo Award, he had clearly become the leading figure in the country's science fiction scene and wouldn't engage in such self-sabotaging activities. I'm really calling you because I need your help. The crew for the Wandering Earth is just starting to form. I want you to be my assistant director. Upon hearing this, Lin Hao was taken aback and quickly declined. Brother Lang, if it were any other crew, I could muddle through as an assistant director, but I can't let you down. I know nothing about hardcore science fiction film production. During my time in Hongdian, I've been busy managing extras, handling props, and dealing with special effects for explosion and war scenes. I can only handle logistics at best. You can't rely on me for the actual filming. He knew his own abilities well. If it were a patriotic film or a sentimental soap opera, Lin Hao wouldn't mind showing off his directing skills a bit. However, The Wandering Earth is extremely important to Liu Lang, and Lin Hao doesn't want to ruin his friend's work. As the deputy director, your responsibility is to manage the logistics of the crew, including the management of extras, preparation of equipment and props, as well as a series of logistical matters within the crew. I don't feel comfortable entrusting such a major role to someone else. Liu Lang genuinely feels this way. In fact, Lin Hao can be considered a second-generation figure in the film industry. However, he is not the typical star or director's offspring that people usually refer to. Rather, many of his relatives work in the film industry. Lin Hao's uncle is a casting director for a well-known director in a certain filming location. Several of his aunts handle nearly half of the catering for the crews there. And two uncles are responsible for supplying costumes and various props for the major productions. From large items like planes, cannons, and tanks in war scenes to small weapons and costume dramas. As long as the budget is sufficient, the level of realism can be achieved. In a sense, Lin Hao's involvement in the film industry is quite rooted in family tradition. Lang Gu, you should have mentioned it earlier. This is my specialty. I've been busy with logistics and the crew lately. Upon hearing that Liu Lang was referring to the logistics deputy director, Lin Hao immediately regained his confidence. After spending some time rotating through various crews and hearing the insider knowledge passed down from his relatives in the industry, Lin Hao is well-versed in the logistics operations of a film crew. Perfect timing. I'll take you to see the props factory for our Wandering Earth crew. After a period of waiting, the Safety Bureau had completed the construction of the props factory that Liu Lang requested, and it was ready for use. Liu Lang spoke as he led Lin Hao toward the edge of the filming base that spans several dozen square kilometers. Props factory? Lin Hao was momentarily taken aback. When he saw the rows of brand-new, tall factory buildings inside the filming base's enclosure, he couldn't help but stare in disbelief. No way, Lang Gu, are you serious? These factories are really for making movie props. Lin Hao thought of his second uncle, who single-handedly supplied almost half of the crews in that area with props, including various planes, cannons, tanks, and all sorts of weapons. Even so, his uncle's workshop only had fewer than 30 people and could barely be considered a small workshop. What lay before Lin Hao now were props factories, each standing 20 to 30 meters high, covering thousands of square meters, with as many as 20 such buildings. Don't be so surprised. It's an industrial sci-fi film, after all. The pursuit of realism is essential, and props are a must. Our crew just has slightly higher demands for the quantity and quality of props, Liu Lang explained to Lin Hao. The equipment and materials are already prepared. What we urgently need now is a reliable team of prop masters to handle them. Lang Gu, what exactly are you planning to create? My second uncle has connections, but the craftsmen he employs don't have much education. They can't make anything too complicated. Hearing the lack of culture, Lu Lang's eyes lit up. Howzy, please make sure to contact your second uncle and tell him that money is not an issue. Ask him to find a group of reliable craftsmen to help me procure the raw materials for producing movie props. The movie prop Lu Lang wanted to create was the long-cherished space elevator. The ideal location for a space elevator should, like in the past movie The Wandering Earth, be situated in the equatorial region of Gabon, Africa. However, in the real world, Lu Lang knew he couldn't fully replicate the movie's setting, as that area wasn't within the influence of his country. Moreover, considering that the space elevator was such a sensitive project, Lu Lang had no choice but to settle for a second-best option and chose Hainan Island in the southern part of his country. Building a massive version of the space elevator, complete with 9 cabins and 216 cables of varying thickness, as depicted in the movie, was clearly unrealistic. The geographical conditions wouldn't support it, and Lu Lang didn't have the funds to invest in such a project. If it were just for the purpose of filming, a single cabin with 4 cables would suffice. This smaller version of the space elevator was well within Lu Lang's budget. After planning, the most crucial task was to manufacture the core material for constructing the space elevator, sufficiently long carbon nanotubes. The success of creating the space elevator hinged on finding reliable cable materials. The exaggerated length of the space elevator, stretching tens of thousands of kilometers, placed extremely high demands on cable materials. Carbon nanotubes have far superior load-bearing capacity, tensile strength, stability, thermal conductivity, and fatigue resistance compared to the steel currently used in large-scale industrial applications. Carbon nanotubes not only outperform steel in numerous aspects, but also weigh only 1/6 of the same volume of steel, making them the best choice for the space elevator's cables. Research on carbon nanotubes has long been underway in the real world, and it is now possible to produce them artificially in laboratories. Unfortunately, the highest record for laboratory-produced carbon nanotubes is just over 70 centimeters, which is far from meeting the requirements for a space elevator. And the cost of producing them in a lab is exorbitant. Fortunately, Lu Lang had been enlightened about the relevant technologies for the space elevator, which included mature methods for the large-scale industrial production of carbon nanotubes. Once this mature, cost-effective method for producing carbon nanotubes was made public, it would undoubtedly cause an unprecedented sensation. At that point, the filming of The Wandering Earth would likely be affected. So Lu Lang had to choose to temporarily conceal this and treat it as a movie prop to minimize the impact. Choosing Lin Hao's second uncle to handle the operation was the best solution Lu Lang could think of at the moment. Lin Hao's second uncle and the craftsman in his workshop had limited education and would never suspect the immense value of the soft yet incredibly durable, long, rope-like materials they produced, which resembled engineering plastics. Moreover, as the assistant director, Lin Hao had a familial bond with his second uncle, and with a high-penalty confidentiality agreement in place, Lu Lang felt at ease. With Lin Hao's facilitation, Lu Lang signed a major deal with Lin Hao's uncle, spending several million to hire them to produce long carbon nanotube material cables for Lu Lang over the next few months. To this end, Lin Hao's uncle recruited a batch of obedient local workers, expanding the small workshop to a scale of 100 people. The carbon-containing gas and catalyst materials needed for producing carbon nanotubes were coordinated by the agreed Safety Bureau, providing a large quantity that was still within the other party's capacity to handle. The improved large-scale industrial preparation technology for carbon nanotubes is characterized by speed, scale, and low cost. It is also much simpler to operate than laboratory preparation methods, with the challenge lying in process innovation and the selection of new catalyst materials. Therefore, after Lu Lang demonstrated the operation a few times in the factory, the workers quickly mastered the method. 20 brand new factories soon began to roar to life, with industrial production lines continuously manufacturing the raw materials for space elevator cables in the vast workshops. Outside the filming base on Hainan Island, 2 strong men wearing straw hats were casually picking coconuts, their eyes occasionally glancing towards the factory buildings inside the fence. 20 prop factories? What kind of movie props are they making? Isn't that a bit exaggerated? What is going on? Didn't that director submit a report? In a while? They might even test launch an experimental rocket for filming. Didn't the boss approve that long ago? Haven't you seen the overwhelming promotion online? They are filming an industrial sci-fi movie, a big production. There will be plenty more big movements in the future. TSK, this looks really expensive. Should we ask the boss for an excuse to check it out? Why are you worrying about this? Our task is to guard the perimeter, preventing foreign elements from getting close, not to monitor them. The target has Xiao Wu keeping watch inside. Nothing major will happen. Hey, why does the target have to be so stubborn about filming a movie? With his skills, couldn't he at least become an academician at the Academy of Sciences? Maybe he thinks being a director is more exciting than being an academician. Who knows what these high-level intellectuals are thinking? After the production of prop materials at the filming base began to get on track, Lu Lang contacted Dong Yanling, the strategic director of Byte Entertainment, again. Dong Yinling did not forget the promise made to Lu Lang, and under her instructions, the professional film production team and various filming equipment from Byte Entertainment began to head to the filming base on Hainan Island, as agreed. Lin Hao was responsible for staying at the base to assist the film crew with logistics and began contacting extras and specialty actors needed for the future film. Leveraging his background in a film family, as a large-scale industrial sci-fi film with a disaster theme, the number of extras required was extremely large. At peak times, there could be thousands of extras appearing simultaneously in the movie scenes. Moreover, the most troublesome aspect is that due to the setting of the Wandering Earth, a considerable number of foreigners are needed among the extras. They will participate as specialty actors in the film's shooting. Fortunately, Lin Hao's relatives have been deeply rooted in the local film industry for many years, establishing connections with various extra coordinators and accumulating a wealth of networking resources. Whether from the east or the west, as long as the price is right, Lin Hao's uncle, who works as a casting director, can even find an African individual who can recite Tengwang Gusu fluently. After enduring rigorous training under harsh conditions in various film crews in the area, Lin Hao faces the task of coordinating with the film production team, equipment, and arranging extras and specialty actors in a planned, phased manner, almost without any pressure. He can even effortlessly contact towns near the shooting base to prepare for the increased food supply needed for the growing number of personnel at the base. As the number of people at the shooting base increases, ensuring food supply during the filming process becomes a challenge that is often overlooked. The abandoned port area where the shooting base is located is quite desolate. The nearest town is more than 10 kilometers away. Ensuring daily food supply for hundreds or even thousands of people at the shooting base is a significant challenge for all film crews. This is also a key reason why Lu Lang needs Lin Hao to act as the assistant director. He cannot focus on the film's shooting while also dealing with these trivial matters unrelated to the specific filming tasks. With Lin Hao's help, Lu Lang can free up time to address more pressing issues, such as inviting major actors to join the cast. Liu Peiqiang, Tu Hongyu, and Zhou Zhijing are the three most important roles in Lu Lang's planned film The Wandering Earth. Their importance in the film is equally significant. As for the actors to portray them, Lu Lang believes that the casting in his previous life was very successful. Wu Jing, Andy Lau, and Li Xuejian are simply perfect for these roles. Lu Lang decides to start by inviting the biggest star in the film industry, Andy Lau. He believes that once these three main roles are secured, inviting other actors will not be a major issue. With the assistance of Dong Yinling, the strategic director of the production company, Lu Lang takes a private jet directly to the filming location. The production company has had some interaction with the local entertainment industry, making it easy to contact Andy Lau's assistant. However, as one of the few major stars in the film industry and a prominent figure in the local cinema, Lu Lang still has to negotiate the film contract himself. Hello, Mr. Lu, I am Andy's assistant. He has some matters to attend to and cannot meet in person. So please discuss any issues with me, the assistant says. Not meeting Andy Lau directly and only seeing his assistant puts Lu Lang in a somewhat tricky situation. It was clear that the other party was not optimistic about the film project The Wandering Earth. As expected, after Lu Lang expressed his intentions, the other party politely indicated that there might be a scheduling conflict and that Mr. Andy Lau preferred to spend more time with his family. Despite Lu Lang's recent high popularity on the internet, the project The Wandering Earth had indeed attracted the attention of the entire film industry. The Hugo Award-winning novel, after receiving a high offer from a major Hollywood studio, made many people take notice. However, for those in the domestic film industry, The Wandering Earth still seemed fraught with risks. Did filmmakers in the region not want to create such a large-scale, industrialized sci-fi film, representing the highest production standards in the global film industry? Of course, they wanted to, but the key issue was the lack of matching capabilities. Not only did the directors lack experience in making industrial sci-fi films, but the production teams and post-production special effects standards were also far from meeting Hollywood's requirements. Now, Lu Lang, a newly graduated director who had not yet made any live-action films for the big screen, was expected to take on an industrial sci-fi film that almost all domestic directors found challenging, simply based on 2 awards. The immediate reaction of all filmmakers upon hearing this news was disbelief. Mr. Lu, to be honest, in recent years, Andy Lau has been in a semi-retired state, and his criteria for selecting scripts and film projects have become quite high. While your international awards undoubtedly reflect your talent, it must be said that the film industry in the mainland, including our region, has attempted sci-fi films before, but each time it ended in failure. Let alone the more challenging industrial sci-fi genre. The risks associated with The Wandering Earth are indeed substantial, and I hope you can understand. Lu Lang thought for a moment. His assistant's words were not without merit. At present, Andy Lau is already one of the top stars in the region, ranking among the best in the entire domestic film industry. Having been in the industry for so many years, he certainly didn't lack the remuneration for this film. As he approaches the later stages of his career, he would be even more cautious about protecting his reputation. The biggest concern for him would be the consequences of taking on a poor-quality film that could ruin his reputation. Taking a deep breath, Lu Lang realized he couldn't simply persuade the assistant with a few words. So he took out a tablet he always carried with him and handed it to the other party. Inside were some artistic concepts for the Wandering Earth, including 300,000 rough storyboard images, initial renderings of special effects scenes, and close-up details of various locations and props. The assistant listened to Lu Lang's explanation while scrolling through the tablet in surprise, as images appeared that visually presented the worldview of the Wandering Earth. From the grand scenes of the moon's fall and collapse to the more than 100 phases of the planetary engine's ignition, down to the concept analysis of future engineering vehicles in the film, and even the detailed designs of thousands of supporting parts for these vehicles. Everything is meticulously presented on this tablet. The assistant agent, who has been in the industry for over 20 years, has never seen such a detailed and earnest film art design collection. Is it really necessary for sci-fi films to be this extravagant these days? That futuristic-looking engineering transport vehicle surely can't be built in reality, right? As the assistant agent looked at the images of the future engineering transport vehicle broken down into over 1,000 parts, he increasingly felt that it might actually be possible to create it in real life. In addition, we have planned a filming base on Hainan Island covering an area of 45 square kilometers. There are as many as 20 prop factories, totaling over 100,000 square meters. A professional production team, along with extras and special actors, totaling about 1,200 people, has already begun to join the production in batches as scheduled. There is no need to worry about funding, as I will be fully responsible for it, including special effects production, which is expected to reach 6.8 billion currency units. Furthermore, I can guarantee that the quality of the special effects will not be lower than that of my previous award-winning sci-fi short film. The assistant agent listened in astonishment as Lu Lang provided a detailed introduction. Coming from a background in film production, he once thought that a crew of 100 was a large production. Not to mention having filming locations spanning tens of square kilometers and as many as 20 factories dedicated to producing props. This was undoubtedly a huge shock for him. Accustomed to the modest film productions in his region, it's worth noting that a film achieving box office sales of 10 million is considered a success there. A production cost of 6.8 billion. After hearing this, the assistant agent felt somewhat dazed. He didn't think Lu Lang was someone who was foolishly throwing money around. No one who makes such a large investment is truly naive, which indicates that Lu Lang must have some confidence. Coupled with the vast collection of film art design images, filming base, prop factories, and the impressive hardware support. Along with Lu Lang's accolades, the assistant agent finally sensed Lu Lang's genuine sincerity. Mr. Lu, I will convey everything to our colleague without missing a word, and I will get back to you by tomorrow at the latest. I hope we can work together soon. After shaking hands and bidding farewell, Lu Lang quietly watched the other person's hurried departure, knowing that there was little more he could do. Boss, where to next? Asked his personal bodyguard, Xiao Wu. Once the person had walked away, let us go invite another role. Lu Lang recalled that there was another important star he needed to visit. Chapter 55. The Shock of Fortress of Magic City. Han Xiang, who is the important character Lu Peiqiang's father-in-law and the father of the only female lead, Han Duo. Although he only has a cameo role in the first part of the Wandering Earth that Lu Lang planned, Han Xiang will be an extremely important supporting character in the future second part. Lu Lang decided to cast Wu Mengdao for the role of Han Xiang. As a golden supporting actor during the heyday of films from the island, the absurd combination of Deshu and Xing Yi created dozens of classic comedies. In his previous life, Lu Lang could say he grew up watching Deshu's movies. His sister, Lu Nianxuan, runs a small but highly capable security company, which surprisingly has a branch on the island as well. While Lu Lang was reminiscing, his bodyguard and driver, Xiao Wu, had already driven the security company's Hummer to the destination. Unlike the reclusive Lu Tianwang, Deshu was approachable, like an ordinary neighbor. When Lu Lang found him, Deshu was in the park watching a group of retired men play chess. Upon hearing that Lu Lang wanted to invite him for a cameo in a sci-fi movie, he only symbolically accepted 200,000 Hong Kong dollars and agreed. I quite like these high-tech films, but I've done too many absurd comedies in the past, and everyone has typecast me in that genre, which is a bit regrettable. Deshu chatted with Lu Lang like an old friend, showing no airs of a movie star. Lu Lang felt a spark of inspiration and sincerely invited him. Deshu, you must take care of your health. If this one doesn't lose money, we'll have to invite you to play an important supporting role in the next sci-fi film. Haha. You young people should learn something good instead of listening to those old directors who just paint dreams. I appreciate your intentions, young man. Good luck. And I hope this film achieves great box office success. Deshu took it lightly, thinking Lu Lang was just trying to cheer him up. After chatting a bit more, they parted ways. The formal contract would be sent to Deshu's agency later via fax. Successfully inviting Deshu felt like a good omen. That evening, Lu Lang received a call from the assistant manager of Huazai, inviting him to gather at a villa in Deepwater Bay. Upon arrival, after some pleasantries introduced by the assistant manager, they quickly got to the point. Mr. Lu, I've heard that you've done a lot of preparation for The Wandering Earth, writing a novel, adapting the script, creating storyboards, and making over 100,000 concept art pieces for the world view. I believe you've poured your heart and soul into this film. But I have a question. Why did you come to me for a role? I won't be embarrassed to say that I once starred in a sci-fi film, but it received poor reviews and performed badly in the market. After hearing the assistant manager's explanation, Lu Lang's detailed and extensive preparation finally convinced him. The only remaining concern was the fear of not being able to handle this unprecedented industrial sci-fi film in the history of the film industry. He was worried not only about damaging his reputation, but also about failing to live up to the hard work Lu Lang had put in. As for the sci-fi film Huazai mentioned, Lu Lang recalled it was Future Police, which could be described as a commercial sci-fi flop gathering numerous stars and renowned directors from both sides of the strait and beyond. After that, Huazai developed a psychological aversion to sci-fi films. I understand your concerns, but you don't need to worry too much. Your character is positioned as a senior engineer. The sci-fi elements in the movie directed by Lu Lang are not about characters in nanospace suits shooting laser guns at each other. Instead, they focus more on conceptual science fiction, such as digital life. Additionally, the role of Tu Hengyu is not very prominent. You can think of it as a special guest appearance. In fact, this special guest screen time accounts for only about a third of the entire film. Lu Lang touched his nose and tactfully tried to persuade Huazai, as the most important thing right now was to get him into the cast. After hearing the director's explanation, Huazai finally felt relieved. The two discussed the script, the preparation for the film, and future promotional collaborations, ultimately reaching an agreement for a fee of 10 million for the role of Tu Hengyu. Unlike Deshu's cameo, the character of Tu Hengyu plays a significant part in the film's storyline. Given Huazai's influence in the film industry, one could say that the 10 million fee was a friendly price for a commercial film. With ample funding, Lu Lang had no objections and immediately signed the agreement. After securing the high-profile Huazai, Lu Lang felt much more relaxed. Shortly after returning to the Hainan film shooting base, Huazai announced on social media that he would be joining Lu Lang's film The Wandering Earth, hoping for everyone's support. This move sent shockwaves through the film industry, with everyone surprised by Huazai's choice. While many were waiting to see Lu Lang's downfall, a major star from the industry took the lead in joining his movie. As a veteran star who has been popular in the film industry for decades, Huazai not only has an impeccable reputation, but also maintains strict standards for script selection. Moreover, given that he has been in a semi-retired state in recent years without compelling projects, he would not easily agree to participate. This made his choice even more astonishing. Could it be that The Wandering Earth really has the potential to become a milestone in the realm of science fiction? Huazai's endorsement holds significant positive meaning for The Wandering Earth crew. Dong Yinling personally called Lu Lang to inform him that many second- and third-tier stars in the industry had begun to actively contact Byte Entertainment, hoping to audition for roles in The Wandering Earth. While top-tier stars held back due to their status, the second- and third-tier stars did not have the luxury to wait. The participation of Lu Tianwang acted as a reassurance for them. They began to leverage their connections in hopes of landing substantial roles in The Wandering Earth. They may not trust Lu Lang, but they believe in Lu Tianwang's choice, thinking that if The Wandering Earth truly becomes a hit, they too could ride the wave of success. However, Lu Lang already had a plan for casting and did not pay attention to these self-recommending opportunists. Just as he was discussing the remaining character selections with Dong Yinling, another explosive news began to spread across the internet in the film industry. Penguin and Alibaba jointly produced 5 years in preparation, with an investment of nearly 400 million, a sci-fi romance epic featuring top-tier stars Lu Han and Hong Kong goddess Shu Qi. Fortress of Magic City officially greenlit. Chapter 56. Bundled marketing. Since Lu Lang began collaborating with a certain entertainment company, the heat surrounding sci-fi themes has been continuously ramped up across major online platforms, thanks to its powerful internet promotion machinery. International sci-fi awards like the Starlight Award and the Hugo Award, which had previously gone unnoticed domestically, became well known through the widespread promotion of various self-media. The Oscars of sci-fi films and the Nobel Prize in Literature of sci-fi novels. These two easily understood metaphors catapulted the Starlight and Hugo Awards into the spotlight within the country. Countless citizens began to recognize Lu Lang as a remarkable young figure who broke the long-standing foreign monopoly on international sci-fi awards. This wave of promotion peaked after Lu Lang won the Hugo Award and announced plans to adapt his award-winning work The Wandering Earth into a film. For the first time, sci-fi themes garnered significant public attention in the country. However, when citizens attempted to search for domestic sci-fi films to satisfy their curiosity, they found that apart from a few subpar films masquerading as sci-fi, there were hardly any legitimate sci-fi productions. As the two major players in the domestic film industry, Alibaba and Penguin quickly noticed this trend in the movie market. They promptly decided to collaborate and produce an epic sci-fi romance film. Judging by the cast alone, it can definitely be considered a top-tier domestic production. The screenplay is adapted from the best-selling novel of the same name by young domestic author Jiang Bei, whose fan base encompasses millions of young people. Leading the cast are top-tier domestic star Lu Han and Hong Kong goddess Xu Qi. The director, Teng, has directed numerous successful romance films, solidifying his qualifications and strength in the industry. As for the film's production companies, with both Alibaba and Penguin dominant players in the domestic film industry backing it, the promotional strength is among the best in the country. Coupled with a staggering budget of $400 million and a preparation time of 5 years, Fortress of Magic City instantly sparked nationwide discussions upon its announcement. Looking forward to Xiao Lu's new film. I will definitely bring my whole family to support you. Isn't Xu Qi almost 50? How can she pair up with my Xiao Lu? I strongly demand a different female lead. Wow, 5 years in preparation? When will it be released? My uncle is a senior executive at Penguin Entertainment, and he told me this film is expected to be completed in no more than 9 months, including post-production time. If it really takes a few years to film, by then the sci-fi craze will have faded. I'm curious, aside from the director and actor's salaries and promotional funds, how much of the investment will be allocated to special effects production? The special effects must be the most important aspect of a sci-fi film, right? As top-tier celebrities, the fees for the leading actors must be at least several tens of millions, if not over 100 million. Even veteran actors from Hong Kong should command around 10 to 20 million, adding in the directors and the fees for other supporting actors. Wow, just the salaries could take up half of the 400 million investment, right? If we consider the promotional budget, there is hardly any left for special effects. Next door, a film claimed to have an investment of 6.8 billion, with most of the funds allocated for special effects production. In this day and age, instead of spending big bucks on special effects, it's better to hire a few popular celebrities with strong appeal. While a certain actor was once very popular, that is now in the past. Currently, the top stars are still those from the mainland and Korea, whose daily social media posts can garner millions of likes and shares. How can veteran stars from Hong Kong compete with that? Indeed, times have changed. Just based on the current cast, one film is already losing to another. Unless the first film can recruit some big-name celebrities, I think a certain actress would be a good fit. However, I would choose another actress instead. No, those mentioned before lack acting skills. I support a different actress. With the deliberate promotion from certain platforms, the buzz around the latter film quickly rose. Additionally, since both films were almost simultaneously launched and both belong to the sci-fi genre, they were quickly compared by netizens. From the information currently available, there is no doubt that the latter film has a stronger capability. Despite the previous director mainly working on romance films, his qualifications and experience surpass that of the newcomer director. As for the cast, the combination of veteran actors from Hong Kong and top young stars has proven to be a successful formula in past films. The first film, relying solely on one popular actor, lacks the star power to compete. As the latter film rapidly absorbed the buzz originally belonging to the first film through a bundled marketing strategy, a certain strategic director began to feel anxious. Although the company did not directly invest in the first film, expectations for the newcomer director were high, seeing him as a key figure to break through barriers in the domestic film and television industry. Furthermore, the competition had the backing of certain major platforms, which heightened the director's concern. The competition between the two companies began the moment the latter film was announced. Mr. Liu, I suggest you change a few of the actors on the subsequent list. I can understand the choices of the first two actors. One, despite some controversies, still has popularity and appeal, while the other is a well-known veteran actor. However, the following actresses have less recognition than second-tier actors and simply lack buzz. In this case, our team at Byte Entertainment is willing to invest resources. Even though we may not be able to bring all three, Reba, Naza, and Li Qin, at least we can manage to secure one or two of them. Even if they just come as decorative roles, their presence would surely be more effective than those lesser-known third-tier actresses. Watching Dong Yinling earnestly trying to help him, Lu Lang found himself amused and exasperated at the same time. He could sense her genuine desire to assist, but with the cast already set, Lu Lang was not inclined to make changes unless absolutely necessary. Some roles required a bit of martial arts background, or at least someone who had been training for a long time. Otherwise, just posing for the camera would look quite unrealistic. Ms. Dong, I understand how you feel. But to be honest, I haven't really prioritized Fortress in the Magic City. In the end, it's still the strength of the work that speaks for itself. Lu Lang politely declined Dong Yinling's suggestion, choosing instead to stick with the cast he had previously arranged. Chapter 57. Actors, please take your positions. Seeing Lu Lang's firm stance, Dong Yinling could only sigh and abandon her suggestion. She then turned her attention to helping Lu Lang contact the actors for the other two main roles. As more crew members arrived at the filming base, with the help of assistant director Lin Hao and his well-connected relatives, the abandoned port quickly transformed into the ground setting for the space elevator in the film. Various costumes, insignias, and promotional posters for the government's defense forces featured in the movie were also produced. The leaden gray-toned atmosphere of the space elevator's security inspection platform and boarding bridge was almost perfectly recreated based on the special effects renderings Lu Lang provided. The detailed set construction significantly minimized the jarring appearance of the special effects. With these real sets, combined with the special effects created by Lu Lang's advanced film technology system, he felt confident in producing a world-class science fiction film. Byte Entertainment was highly efficient. Within just a couple of days, they connected with the other two main actors from The Wandering Earth. The basic processes and contract agreements posed no issues. However, they had one request. They wanted to have a face-to-face meeting with Lu Lang, who was both the director and producer. When Lu Lang met Wu Jin, he found him playing soccer with a group of students on the field. Upon meeting, Wu Jin was even more enthusiastic than Lu Lang. Director Lu, I've heard so much about you. Mr. Wu, I've been looking forward to collaborating with you as well. After exchanging pleasantries, the atmosphere quickly warmed up. Director Lu, what made you think of inviting me to join the cast? After that film, no major productions have dared to invite me, Wu Jin asked curiously. Lu Lang certainly knew which film he was referring to, Wolf Warrior 2. This action-packed war film, starring Wu Jin, achieved tremendous box office success, but also stirred a lot of controversy. Despite many viewers having seen numerous Western action blockbusters where the protagonists could single-handedly take on an army without feeling out of place, the reactions to Wu Jin's film were mixed. However, when a certain individual from a certain country stars in such a personal heroism action film, many viewers begin to feel uncomfortable. The Wolf Warrior series, featuring a somewhat rigid performance and plot, along with an overly straightforward expression of patriotism and nationalism, has disgusted and hurt these individuals. The intense reversals and popularity of the series have impacted them deeply. The result of this emotional distress is strong criticism and attack, which can be referred to as a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. Before collaborating with this individual, the domestic film and television industry had to consider the persistent smear campaigns and attacks from certain groups. Therefore, when it comes to major investments in film production, producers have to cautiously avoid working with this individual. Speaking of which, we are quite similar. Those foreign sci-fi films easily rake in billions at the domestic box office. But when I wanted to make a sci-fi film, I was met with overwhelming skepticism. As Lu Lang empathized with this individual, he took out a familiar tablet and showcased the various preparations he had made. Countless storyboards, world-building designs, and detailed models of props and technology left this individual momentarily stunned. He did not expect Lu Lang to have such meticulous concept designs for The Wandering Earth, just like how he felt about another famous actor back then. He sensed Lu Lang's attitude and sincerity towards this film. Therefore, I hope you can join The Wandering Earth, and together we can use our work and facts to counter the critics. Director Lu, I really love what you said. It's just a special role, and the screen time shouldn't be much. I'll sign the contract. Just let me know when you need me. This individual readily agreed and signed the contract in front of Lu Lang. Well, the screen time. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll personally contact you when the time comes. Lu Lang touched his nose and responded to this agreeable individual. The role indeed has limited screen time, about 1/3. It's not wrong to call it a special role, in Lu Lang's eyes. The Wandering Earth doesn't really have a main character. All the characters, including the key figures, can be considered special roles. As for the character selection for one of the roles, Mr. Li Shuejian was initially hesitant due to health reasons. However, with the help of Lu Lang's university mentor, they eventually agreed to meet. Mr. Ning Shuili had a significant friendship with Mr. Li Shuejian's family. As a respected veteran actor in the domestic film industry, Mr. Li Shuejian is truly an artist in Lu Lang's eyes. His performances in works like The Great Wall, Water Margin, 1942, and The Young Marshal have created many classic characters in film history. In The Wandering Earth, the character represents a key leadership figure promoting the plan to the world. Such an important role must be played by a seasoned actor like Mr. Li Shuejian. Teacher Li, this is my preparation for The Wandering Earth. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me directly. As a graduate of the Film Academy, Teacher Li is the most suitable title for Lu Lang when it comes to Li Shuejian. Industrial science fiction. Li Shuejian murmured to herself while flipping through the images on the tablet that Lu Lang handed over. I remember that Hollywood produces a lot of these films, right? You are correct. Currently, our country cannot compare to Hollywood in this regard. However, the ability to produce industrial science fiction films often represents a country's comprehensive strength and serves as a powerful tool for cultural export. The science fiction films in our country started late, and if we do not work hard, we will eventually be eliminated from the global film industry. I want to be the pioneer in this field, regardless of whether the outcome is good or not. Looking at the art design collection and storyboards on the tablet, and listening to Lu Lang's words, Li Xuejin looked up seriously at the young man in front of her and finally smiled. 20 years ago, I witnessed the birth of our country's atomic bomb in the emergence. I hope that 20 years from now, I can witness the rise of our country's industrial science fiction films with my own eyes. After solving the casting issues for the 3 major roles in the film, Lu Lang felt a wave of relief. The remaining roles on the cast list were all minor characters. Once the actors were in place, he could finally start filming officially. To expedite the process, Lu Lang handed over the next round of actor invitations to a certain entertainment company. However, just a few days later, Lu Lang received unexpected news. Chapter 58, Underhanded Tactics. What? Wang Ji has a contract issue and cannot participate? Upon hearing Dong Yinling's words, Lu Lang couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect that after securing the 3 main roles, there would be a problem with the female lead. Compared to Wu Jin and Hua Zai, Li Xuejin's standing in the film industry was more modest, and Wang Ji could only be considered a third-tier actress. Aside from a supporting role in a hit comedy, she had no other memorable roles. This time, she was invited to play the female lead in a major production with a staggering investment and promotion budget of 6.8 billion. Although being a hardcore science fiction film, the female lead's role is not as significant as Liu Peiqiang, Tu Hongyu, and Zhou Zhiji. However, the character Han Duo is still a female lead, and Lu Lang couldn't understand why she would refuse such an opportunity in a film with high investment, popularity, and exposure. If it were other third-tier actresses, they wouldn't let go of this chance even if it meant dealing with contract issues or paying penalties. After asking directly, she was willing and had no scheduling conflicts, but her management company refused to budge. She is signed under a company affiliated with a certain corporation, and it seems they are just holding onto the contract. What if we pay the penalty? As the planned female lead, Wang Ji possesses remarkable looks and an impressive figure. Most importantly, she began training in martial arts at the age of 7, making her one of the few new generation martial arts actresses in the industry. The main actors Lu Lang has invited so far are primarily skilled performers, and naturally, he could not casually choose a pretty face for the female lead. Considering that the female lead, Han Duo, has several fight scenes in the film, it is naturally more suitable for Wang Ji, who has a martial arts background, than for others. The breach of contract penalty. She signed a long-term contract initially, which amounts to around 60 million. Upon hearing Dong Yinling's words, Lu Lang finally became disheartened. He could not afford to spend 60 million on Wang Ji. It wasn't just about whether she was worth it or if he had enough funds. Even stars at the level of Hua Zai only charge around 10 million for their fees. If he were to spend 60 million on a third-tier actress like Wang Ji, he would be doing a disservice to the other more prominent actors in the crew. The entertainment industry in Longhua has always emphasized seniority. Without significant fan support or a blockbuster project backing, it is clearly unreasonable to demand compensation that does not align with one's status. Lu Han, as the current top flow star in Longhua, is qualified to earn tens of millions in box office shares. Wang Ji is just one of many third-tier actresses in the industry. Spending 60 million to buy her out from her agency would actually be detrimental to her. Her agency has ties to a major player, and they are unlikely to show any leniency towards a competitor. Dong Yinling felt somewhat helpless. Given the scale and influence of their company, domestic agencies would generally give them some respect, but since the other party's agency was under a major player, they clearly weren't prepared to show any consideration. I will contact a few other large agencies. Let's see if there are any suitable options, Dong Yinling advised Lu Lang. They had no choice but to put the female lead situation on hold. However, 2 days later, Lu Lang received another piece of bad news. Ning Li had also been trapped by a contract. Upon hearing this news, Lu Lang jumped up, startling the assistant director Lin Hao beside him. Yes, his contract was signed with a major player, and he was negotiating well, but unexpectedly. The agency directly informed him the next day that he could not participate in the Wandering Earth. This issue had to be blamed on the major player. They were clearly targeting their competitor. Dong Yinling felt a headache coming on. Under normal circumstances, these agencies wouldn't dare to be so disrespectful. But with the backing of a major player, the situation was different. Byte Entertainment could only be considered a rising star in the Longhua entertainment circle, and there was still some gap in influence compared to the 2 established giants. It was understandable that these agencies would judge based on status. Lu Lang clearly understood that this situation could not be blamed on Byte Entertainment. Since the project Magic City Fortress, which was branded as a sci-fi film, was initiated, the Wandering Earth became their competitor. They not only engaged in a series of bundled promotions and tried to ride on the coattails of the hype, but the Wandering Earth ignored their provocations, which made them even more reckless. Even if the Wandering Earth did not have the support of Byte Entertainment, such underhanded tactics would still occur. He just didn't expect that the tactics employed by Magic City Fortress would be so despicable. using the high penalty for breach of contract to control the actors under their management. Stars like Hua Zai and Wu Jin naturally had their management rights firmly in their hands. Li Xuejian, a veteran actor with multiple official identities in the cultural sector, including as the chair of the National Film Association, is not someone that companies can easily manage. Only the truly lower-tier actors in the domestic film industry rely on the resources of their management companies to gain opportunities, often being forced to sign contracts with agencies that have connections, which renders them quite passive. After hanging up the phone, Lu Lang's mood remained unsettled. If there was still room for choice regarding the character Han Duo, the role of Ma Zhao, the mentor of the character Tu Hengyu, was equally important as that of Liu Peiqiang's master, being the most significant role after the three core characters. Ning Li, as a competent actor, always gives the audience a sense that there are deeper secrets to be explored behind his gaze, making him perfectly suited for the role of Ma Zhao. Lu Lang could not tolerate the idea of an important character's actor being unable to perform due to the despicable tactics of competitors. Damn, these old schemers are disgusting. After understanding the situation, Lin Hao felt equally revolted, knowing how long Lu Lang had prepared for this film and how much effort he had invested, making it easier for him to empathize with Lu Lang's frustration. Brother Lang, should we expose this to the media? Apply some pressure through public opinion? Lu Lang shook his head. Although his competitors' actions were revolting, they did not break any laws, and mere public pressure would not deter them. How's the preparation for those movie props coming along? Lin Hao was momentarily taken aback. One moment, they were discussing how to deal with the competitors' underhanded tactics. And the next they were talking about movie props? Brother Lang, we're almost done. Those materials have filled the warehouse. And that rocket, my uncle said, if we add fuel, it should really be able to launch. Brother Lang, we're just making a movie. There's no need to make the props so realistic. As the deputy director in charge of logistics, Lin Hao felt heartache just thinking about the enormous costs of these movie props. Chapter 59. A hardcore welcome through communication with Shirley. Lu Lang not only secured a film shooting base covering dozens of square kilometers and a large quantity of materials for building prop factories, but he also managed to bring in a nearly decade-old backup model of a launch rocket from the space base located on Hainan Island. The Hainan Space Launch Center, under the directives of the Security Bureau, cooperated in helping the crew of the Wandering Earth build a rocket launch platform as a movie prop. Moreover, at Lu Lang's strong request, the launch vehicle was restored to a state as if it were about to be launched. With the efforts of numerous aerospace experts and consultants, the crew spent nearly 10 million in local currency to almost perfectly recreate a simplified version of a space launch platform. Although this launch vehicle was merely an outdated model from over a decade ago, its future likely destined to remain in storage until decommissioned, it was still a genuine spacecraft capable of reaching outer space. Using it as a movie prop seems excessively luxurious to Lin Hao. The most important thing is that to ensure this spacecraft can truly reach a launch-ready state, the production team spent nearly 10 million to build the launch platform for this rocket. It's just too hardcore. Although we are filming a hardcore sci-fi movie, is it really necessary to go to such extremes? Looking at the tall rocket standing in the filming base, Lin Hao couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion. If it were his uncle and his team of professional prop makers, they could probably build a similarly shaped launch center with just over 100,000. Using cardboard and wooden scaffolding. Then, combined with special effects and CG animations to simulate the rocket launch, it would be quite easy. As Lin Hao was lost in thought, he suddenly noticed several tank trucks for hazardous materials entering the filming base. The trucks were all marked with the words, aviation fuel liquid oxygen kerosene. Under the gaze of Lin Hao and many staff members at the base, more than a dozen tank trucks drove straight to the vicinity of the launch platform. Lin Hao's expression shifted from daze and confusion to sheer panic. No way, are you serious? He realized that Lu Lang was determined to get this thing into the sky. It was time to make a big move. Lu Lang smiled at Lin Hao without further explanation. The issue with the actors being stuck in contracts was something that Byte Entertainment didn't have a good solution for. For Lu Lang, trying to resolve it through normal means was simply not possible. With two major players like Penguin and Ollie dominating the film industry, it was extremely difficult to win under their rules. If Lu Lang let it go, there might be even more underhanded tactics waiting for him in the future. He was neither willing to compromise, nor could he. Since the other side was playing tricks at the game table, he would just flip the table. The emergence of space elevators and carbon nanotube materials would inevitably attract official attention. Lu Lang originally didn't want to draw official notice so soon, as it could potentially affect the filming schedule. But given the current situation, he couldn't afford to worry about that anymore. If he didn't take action soon, the cast of The Wandering Earth might not even be assembled. In fact, constructing a space elevator wasn't as difficult as it seemed. As long as they could find suitable materials for the elevator cables, launching a spacecraft with cables into space, letting the lower end of the cables fall back to the ground with the help of a heavy object, and ultimately connecting it to the planned platform on the ground. Meanwhile, The other end of the cable would be connected to the spacecraft in space. As the Earth rotates, the space elevator cable would generate upward centrifugal force, while gravity would pull the cable down, achieving balance. Finally, they would fix the track at both ends of the cable and use energy converted from lasers launched from the ground to propel the elevator car upward. Given the exaggerated height of the space elevator, if it were to be used entirely as military equipment to accelerate the operation speed, the ascent process of the space elevator could be divided into 3 stages. The lower stage would start with a jet-assisted launch from a catapult. The mid-stage would utilize electromagnetic acceleration, and the upper stage would connect to a space station. This method would allow the cabin to move along the space elevator at the fastest speed possible. However, there is a drawback. During the launch phase, the cabin experiences a significant increase in g-forces due to the initial velocity imparted by the catapult, meaning that the personnel inside the cabin must undergo rigorous training to withstand these forces in order to meet the conditions for working on the space elevator. Yet, all of this feels far away for Liu Lang. His primary goal is still to launch the rocket connected to the carbon nanotube cable as soon as possible. Has the launch application been submitted? Yes, it has. Are the consultants at the Space Center ready? I've checked. Everything is set. Then what are we waiting for? Position the cameras and start the ignition. With Liu Lang's command, the staff at the launch site began to spring into action. Under the guidance of professional consultants from the Space Center, they proceeded with the final ignition steps. More than a dozen customized large drones provided by a well-known company circled around the launch pad, capturing close-up shots from multiple angles to extract every bit of value from this rocket. As the bottom of the rocket shone with orange-yellow light, thick white steam quickly appeared on the launch platform. Under the powerful thrust of the rocket, the carbon nanotube cable placed near the launch pad rapidly ascended. Watching the rocket rise from a distance, Lin Hao felt his emotions remain unsettled for a long time. This rocket, codenamed Sky Soarer, cost the production team of the Wandering Earth over $10 million for just one launch. It could be called the most expensive firework Lin Hao had ever seen in his life. Over $10 million. That could have fed the hundreds of people in the crew for days. The deputy director in charge of logistics for the crew was worriedly calculating in his mind. Hello, is this the crew of the Wandering Earth? Wu Jin looked at his phone's navigation, then up at the rocket that had already taken off not far away, and asked Lin Hao uncertainly. Behind him stood Shai, Huazai, and others. Ah, Teacher Wu Jin. Teacher Andy Lau, Teacher Shai. Hello? Yes, this is indeed our shooting base. Lin Hao replied. I'm the deputy director in charge of liaising with you. You can just call me Xiaolin. Xiaolin, why is there a rocket launch at our shooting base? Huazai looked bewildered at the rocket gradually ascending in the distance. This is the way our crew has prepared to welcome you. A hardcore sci-fi film deserves a hardcore welcome, right? Lin Hao thought to himself that the value of the Sky Soarer had once again been fully utilized as he watched the shocked and confused expressions on everyone's faces. Chapter 60. A wonderful misunderstanding. As the rocket codenamed Sky Monkey launched, warning signals quickly appeared on the monitoring screen of the Southwest Radar Monitoring Center's Air Defense Identification Zone. Sir, an unidentified flying object has appeared in the Southwest airspace. Should we alert nearby units to investigate? Don't panic. That area is the filming location for a certain movie production team, which has been reported in advance. There will be movie prop aircraft launching. The station chief on duty at the monitoring center did not take it too seriously. Sir, the target aircraft has reached an altitude of 8,000 meters and is still ascending rapidly. The size of the target aircraft on the radar monitoring signal was unprecedentedly large, bigger than a commercial airliner. And it was ascending vertically. It looks very much like a launch rocket from a space launch center. A launch rocket. The station chief dismissed his subordinate's speculation. There was only one film crew in that area, and he had never heard of any film crew being extravagant enough to use a real launch rocket as a movie prop. However, the radar display indicated that the flight path of this reported movie prop was indeed strange. Contact the Kainan flight base and have them send an unmanned reconnaissance drone to take a look. Nearby units, prepare for alert status. After pondering for a moment, the monitoring center chief ordered his subordinates. Although the film crew had reported in advance, it wouldn't hurt to have an extra reconnaissance procedure for safety's sake. The Kainan flight base has been contacted. The unmanned reconnaissance drone is expected to arrive in the target airspace in 5 minutes. The fighter squadron is ready on the runway and can take off for interception at any time. The FD-2000 air defense missile silos are now open and waiting for further instructions. With a ripple effect, the surrounding air defense forces were fully prepared in just a few minutes, waiting for the reconnaissance intelligence from the unmanned drone to decide whether to engage. Soon, the radar monitoring center's screen connected with the signal from the unmanned reconnaissance drone. The video feed from the target airspace quickly appeared on the center's large screen. A completely white launch rocket was spewing orange-yellow flames, soaring vertically into the sky, leaving a thick white vapor trail in the air. Right beneath it was the filming base of the movie production team. The station chief gaped in astonishment at the video, staring at the rocket launch platform within the film set. He never imagined that a film crew could actually use a launch rocket as a movie prop and successfully launch it. Sir, the target rocket has ascended into the stratosphere and is still climbing. A reminder from his subordinate snapped the monitoring center chief back to reality. Immediately contact the Security Bureau and the Strategic Monitoring Center. This is beyond our capability to handle. As the Sky Monkey soared higher, the nearby air defense forces, including fighter formations and short-range surface-to-air missiles, had lost the possibility of effective response. This tricky issue can only be handed over to the relevant departments with higher authority. When Shirley received the message, he was in charge of testing the military production model of the exoskeleton armor. With the complete technical drawings provided by Lu Lang, the researchers at the 706 Institute rapidly finalized the production